Okay, got the red smoke.
Gun runs north to south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. Get cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
Was it weird sitting there listening to Austin von Lickthehole, yesterday as we did I've never sat through and watched somebody do a podcast.
I don't think I have either.
Because it's easy to sit across and have a conversation. You were just, I mean, literally, I guess, a fly on the wall.
Yeah. Well, can I say cuck?
Yeah.
I was like a podcast cuck.
Well, what's Michael then?
A producer, like the videographer. Or the videographer's not really a cuck in that sense.
Pornographer.
Right? Huh?
Pornographer.
What? Pornographer.
No, hold on. Let's get the rules straight here, okay? So clearly Austin and I were the stars. Okay. So we were the talent, if you will, performers.
Yeah.
So you guys were behind the camera. Let's open with this. I don't know how gay porns are filmed. I assume there's a cameraman.
Me.
Is this you?
Well,
/ producer?
Kind of have to be, yeah.
Okay. Would you then be the director, though? Is there a director on porn sets?
Are there cucks on porn sites? Sets.
Porn site?
Sets. Porn sets.
I feel like there are people that are there just watching.
Is it just voyeurism at that point? Like if I'm not
I feel like
involved.
everybody has a job there. Are there directors?
Sure. There's got to be.
Who is the fluffer in this instance?
Well, we don't have enough people for all of that. If we had to dual hat somebody, that would be you, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. Who else is it going to be?
I've got the most experience.
Yeah. And appetite, if you will. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not my fault you eat hot dogs without chewing. I can't help you. You eat corn the long
talent.
way.
It's a talent.
You
should try it sometime.
Yeah. You ever eat a Snickers bar upside down just for the texture? Today's episode is brought to you by Montana Knife Company. If you're a fan of the podcast or a listener to the podcast, you're going to know this brand. They've been one of the main sponsors this year. I've had Josh Smith on, their founder, a few times. A brand that was born and raised here in Montana. They're getting ready to open up a huge facility just west of Missoula. They're going to have a Black Rifle coffee at that front as well. A consumer experience. You can go see how knives are made and get an amazing cup of coffee. And you know what I'm going to talk about today? Hunting season's coming up. And if you're a hunter, you know what I'm talking about. You need to have the tools for whatever animal it may be that you're chasing. There you're going to have stuff for, processing animals, caping animals, all of those things. So put that order in now. They also have the Blaze Orange series. That doesn't count for your orange when it comes to hunting, but I tell you what, it makes it a lot easier to keep track of your knife. What else do they have? Culinary knives, tactical knives, bushcrafting knife. I mean, it's pretty crazy. If you head over to montanaknifecompany.com, you're going to see what they have to offer. Not all of them are in stock. These knives go incredibly quickly. I suggest signing up for their text and email list. Thursdays and Saturdays are when they release these bad boys, and they go quickly. I'd suggest going on there and making a small purchase so their credit card information is on file or whatever payment processing you would prefer to use. That way it makes it a lot quicker. I've had knives stolen out of my shopping cart. That's right, stolen, theft. And I guess that's a good thing because it means the demand is incredibly high. MontanaKnifeCompany.com. They're going to ask you where you heard about the brand. Do me a favor. Tell them either myself or Cleared Hot. Back to the show. You don't even know what I'm talking about. Think about that'll come to you later tonight.
I do know what you're talking about.
That was it was great. Because I've known Austin for a little while now, and I've worked with him in a couple of different settings. So it was like actually cool to hear his story, I guess per se, because like that's not the conversations that he and I have. So it was cool to like learn. Because like for example, I've always given him a hard time about his ADHD medicine.
Yeah.
Because I think ADHD is a superpower. And then when you start taking the medicine, but then after I listened to him articulate it to you, I was like, man, maybe,
I think like many things, there's a dial. I think depending on where you're at on the dial, maybe the lower end where you can manage it and control it could be a superpower. Man, at the top end where it's controlling and managing you, I don't know if that would be a superpower.
Yeah. I mean, I love my ADHD.
Do you actually have it?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
have you been diagnosed by a
doctor? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a really... It was probably the beginning of my life was the moment I was in 7th grade. And then that's like pretty much changed my life. It changed the entire trajectory of my entire life. ADHD has been the biggest battle of my life. No, well, to get into that story, I don't think I've ever really told that story, but I ADHD was brand new because it was in the 90s.
Okay.
And so people hadn't really heard the term.
What did they call it before that? Just a
I don't know.
hyperactive child?
Yeah, just a hyper child, I would guess.
And then
I'm
what
not a
would they
doctor.
do for that?
Spank you or hit you in the hand with a ruler.
No, that's just Catholic school, of which I didn't go to, so I don't know if that
I went
actually
to a
happened.
public school and they had capital punishment there.
They hit you with a ruler? Isn't capital
Not the
punishment
ruler,
killing
but
somebody?
the spank. I don't know, but I thought they called it capital punishment. What were they
I believe capital punishment is if you're convicted. You should have known this as a cop.
Well,
Can
you're
you
about
look
to
up
learn
what the
that. I
hell
didn't know a lot
capital
about being a
punishment
cop.
means?
Is there capital punishment in public schools?
Or is that corporal punishment?
Or that could be it.
Yeah.
Capital punishment is the
State-sanctioned
death
killing of
penalty.
a person.
What is that?
State-sanctioned killing of a person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it might be corporal.
Middle school's a little early
Yeah, a
for
little
that.
early for that.
Here's a question.
We did get spankings, though.
Let's
in
say
elementary.
you identify Jeffrey Dahmer as a middle schooler. At what point do you step in?
Because that's kind of almost like Minority Report style. Like you can't really like.
Kind of, but like maybe you can travel back in time. I don't know. If you could, I mean, I would go back and tell myself to probably invest in Bitcoin. I don't think I'd be tracking down Jeffrey Dahmer. But if you could and you went back, and again, there's no right or wrong to this. These are just fun thought exercises.
Sure.
What do you do? Do you try to change the kid? Do you try to interrupt whatever it was that turned him into that? Did he come out of the box broken? Or do you just meet him in the hallway one day and look...
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, for me, I think I would try to change him. Like,
Okay,
I would
but
try
you
to
only have
reach out
24
to him.
hours.
If I knew.
You only have
Oh,
24
you only
hours.
24 hours? Kill him.
Do you sit him down, though, and say, hey...
No, just make it quick. Get it over with.
No, I mean, like, explain to him what he turned into? Maybe, because maybe they already know at
it's
that
already
point
going
they're
to be
broken.
traumatic enough. He's dying. He's about to die. Like
You don't have to tell him that part. You can surprise him with that. You don't have to tell him that part.
Yeah, but then he's going to be like, man, I'm a huge piece of shit. And then all of a sudden, shank. And then he gets to die a piece of shit. But he wasn't a piece of shit yet. So it's like double punishment. That's like too much punishment.
Or was he, and he just hadn't been able to express it? I am fascinated. I mean, so he ended up killing and eating people.
Right, but didn't he mess with animals prior to that, possibly?
Of the, there is kind of like that trifecta of behaviors. I think he exhibited some, but then some people do that and they don't turn into serial killers that just...
Right, but I mean, like, it would be easier to kill him knowing that he just, like, tortured an animal.
Yeah. I just wonder, I'm fascinated by that type of person. Do they come out of the box
It's
broken?
weird when you meet people that have, like, murdered somebody.
Yeah.
It's weird, like, because they all have a story. They all got there somehow. And it's not what you think sometimes. Like, sometimes you think that, like, they're just a bad person. I mean, and they are, but like,
Well, some people are bad.
When a lot of the murderers that I've talked to, matter of fact, one of them in the book, I drove around and helped him get rid of the evidence on accident. I didn't know he just murdered somebody, but he got in my cop car with a gun and we drove around and got rid of the gun and the cell phone.
Did you know you were getting rid of it?
Nope.
Okay.
I'd
I'd be careful how we phrase that. Yeah.
It's in the book. It's a very funny story. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate story. But that's like my whole life too. But anyway, yeah, it's usually not what you think. Like when they usually are really calm and polite and respectful, and some of them just had a really bad day.
I get it. There are legitimately evil people, and I have known some people that I would consider to be very good who make a mistake. They don't intentionally do something bad. And I also know people who I thought were to be very good, who had a side of them I didn't know and did do things that were bad. And then I know some people who probably couldn't find it in themselves to do something evil. And I think that lives in all of us to a degree. And I don't think there's a perfect person out there. ADHD, though. Go back to that. I'm curious how it was such a formative moment in your life.
So I was in 7th grade. And at that point, so to really understand the story, I lived near the river. And where I grew up in St. Augustine, Florida, there was the beach. That's where the rich kids lived.
Yep.
Then there was the intercoastal, which is where the upper middle class lived.
Okay.
And then there was the river where the lower middle class lived. And then across the rivers where all the peasants lived. But there wasn't a lot of lower middle class on my side of the river. So I was lumped into the school with all the upper middle class and middle class and the upper class. So I didn't have a lot of friends because I lived basically in the swamp, really, let's face it. So and it was too far to drive to have friends. So I grew up very sheltered. My mom was my best friend type deal. And then when I got to middle school, I found surfing. I found a guy who was really into surfing, a friend, and he got me into surfing. And so in 6th grade, all I could think about was surfing. I could not sit in school and not think like, oh my God, what are the waves doing? And this is pre-internet.
Yeah.
So like there was a thing called the surf report, and you would like call it, and they would be like, today the waves are 2 to 3 feet.
I actually remember the surf report. That's a blast from the past.
Yeah. And so it was dope. So like all I could think about was like, oh my gosh, the winds are like switching offshore right now. Like I should be out there. And that was in like 6th grade. So I didn't really even have friends in middle school because nobody really like surfed in my middle school. So then I get to 7th grade, and all of a sudden they're like, you're not going to go to 7th grade with the rest of the kids. You're going to go to this new program for kids with learning disabilities. And I didn't see myself as having a learning disability. I didn't see myself as anything. I just was like, loved life, loved my mom, loved surfing. That was it. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm stuck in this room with like bad kids, like gnarly bad kids that are like 15 years old because they've failed so many times, and they're unruly and they're disrespectful. And I'm just like, whoa, if I ever did that, my dad would murder me. Now I'm stuck in this class with these guys, and I get really, really quiet and just stay quiet. Don't really talk or anything like that. And I end up, the guidance counselor calls me in, never seen a guidance counselor before in my life. They're like, what's up? What's going on with you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's going on with me? And so they recommended I go to a psychologist. And I don't know why. I'm in 7th grade. I really didn't, I wasn't able to look inside and say, like, what am I doing wrong? Or what? I wasn't
you're
in
supposed
trouble.
to be able to in 7th grade.
Right. So I end up in front of this psychologist, and I'm really upset and embarrassed that I have to go. And they're like, we're going to give you this Ritalin. Now, I'd never heard of Ritalin. I've never heard of prescription drugs. Again, my parents were lower middle class. My dad was a mailman. My mom cleaned houses for a living. I wasn't all that educated in politics or anything like that growing up. But they offer me this drug called Ritalin, and it's going to alter my mind. And I think that was the exact words, if I can remember, but something that he said, it didn't sit right with me. And I immediately said, no, I'm not doing that. And my dad was a very strict father too. And he was like, excuse me, like, you listen to this doctor and you'll take whatever he tells you to take. And I was like, no, I will not. I will not do it. And it got to the point where my dad was like forcing me to take this medicine. I was sticking my finger down my throat. Didn't know about bulimia or whatever that, anorexia. I don't know which one. Bulimia. Yeah. But like instinctually, I knew somehow to put my hand down my throat and regurgitate this drug, anything I could do to not take it. And it changed my life, because now I became this kid that was like, yo, I'm not doing what you say. So we end up going from the psychologist to a psychiatrist because it's getting out of hand. Like I'm like, I hate my parents at this point. And now I'm really like, I'm going out to the woods. I read a book called Daryl Young. The author was Daryl Young. It was the first book I ever read. And it was, or that I remember reading. And it was a Element of Surprise.
Okay. And
it was a Navy SEAL book, and I never heard of Navy SEALs or anything. And so I'm reading this book. And so now I want to go out in the woods and read. That's all I want to do, is just read Navy SEAL books. And so I go out to the woods and read these Navy SEAL books. And I think there's no way I could ever be that, but I got immersed into the reading. And this teacher saw me with the book, and she opened it up. And of course there's this, the Navy SEAL lingo of I shot the guy in the face or something crazy, And so that was, so they make me go to a psychiatrist now, because now they're like, there might be something wrong with him. He's reading these devil books, which were not devil books. They were Navy SEAL books. And the psychiatrist ends up having a conversation with me. And then he says, let's make a deal. My dad's sitting there and he says, not this 9 weeks because it's almost over, but the following 9 weeks, if you can make all C's on a report card, I will not make you, then we won't make you take the drug at all. And if you make a D or an F on your report card, you're going to try the next 9 week with the drugs and see if it helps you. And then I was like, well, if I want to, I'll make AB honor. I'll make straight A's. My dad was like, well, if you did that, I'd buy you that dirt bike that you really want. And this is 7th grade. And I was like,
be careful what you say, Dad.
Game on. So I make all A's and 1B on my report card. I get the dirt bike. And I was so mad that I was put in that situation that I said to my father, I really was thankful for the dirt bike, but I said, thank you for the dirt bike, of course. Like, I was crying. It was like a beautiful moment, but I will never, ever make another A or B the rest of my life. And from 7th grade on, I would wear 2 different socks to PE to get 5 points off every day to get a D. And I have a report card.
Why?
I just felt like that was my way of getting back at everybody for making me do something that I didn't want to do in the first place. And it was my way of control.
But didn't you end up not doing it?
What?
You didn't take the meds, right?
No, I never did.
So what did they make you do?
Nothing. I got the dirt bike and I made
So what are you
C's.
getting them? What are you paying them back for?
I was in 7th grade, man. I was like 13. Of course, it's like a...
All right, I'm just checking. I want to make sure I didn't miss a part of the story.
I felt like I don't know, like I felt like the whole world, and I was in a small town, so I felt like everybody was judging me and thought that I was a bad kid, and I wasn't. I never really got in any trouble. And then I started to act out in high school in funny ways. Like the window was open one time and I walked out onto the roof and all the teachers were like, oh my God. And they called the fire department and they were like, sit down, don't get, no. I was like, what? I'm just going to come back. And they're like, please sit down, and just stupid stuff like that. There was an air conditioned vent left open. And so there was a fire ladder up there in the TV production room. So I climbed up and got in the air conditioned ducts and I would go through the classrooms and like try to knock on the little vents and get the kids to look up, and I got in a lot of trouble for that.
Okay,
just dumb stuff that I did, and but yeah, I my wife is extremely smart, and my mom gave me a hope box when I turned 30, which is like all these memorabilia that she collected growing up. And on my 30th birthday, she gave it to me. And one of the things was a report card and it had straight D's. And my wife was like, "Is this a joke? Like, what is this?" And I said, "Oh, that was that report. This was the report card that I told them. I made the straight A's and 1B, and now I'm going to make straight D's just to be an asshole." And the teacher was really difficult, my 7th grade teacher. That's why I named my media company C- Media, because she said I would be nothing but a C- student the rest of my life. And it was just a really traumatic child. It wasn't traumatic, it was traumatic for me. And I was just...
Who talks to kids like that? As a teacher, like, come on,
well,
be better.
I found out that she's still doing it. Which is funny because I wrote this book now. And so a lot of the people that were teachers and stuff back where I lived have actually reached out to me, and I asked out of curiosity. I was like, "Hey, is she still around?" She's like, "Oh yeah, her husband's a principal, and she's still."
She probably doesn't remember saying that,
probably
but that doesn't
not
excuse the impact it has on who she's saying it to.
Yeah, I mean, it stuck with me for a very long time, and then I got out, and then I graduated. And when I graduated high school, I had 2 best friends. We lived in an apartment on the beach in St. Augustine, and we worked on a deep sea fishing boat. And it was perfect. So the girlfriend worked on the dock. Me and the other dude worked on the boat. It was epic. And I mean, every day, 5:30 at the boat, heading out to sea, getting back late, filleting fish until 6 or 7 p.m., swimming off the end of the dock, and surfing whenever. And it was perfect. I had really long hair and really just enjoyed it. I got up to like second mate on the boat, and I'm driving to work one morning, and I think I was 19 at the time, or I was 18, just about to turn 19. And I'm driving to the boat, and the War of Fallujah was on the radio, 5:30 in the morning. And then I'd never thought about being in the military. In 7th grade, I read those books, but I never read any more of those Navy SEAL books. It was out of the question. I was super skinny, 114 pounds, like just scrawny little kid. Now I was probably like 130, but I was a small kid. And
I weighed 150 when I graduated, buds.
150?
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't get 150 until I was like 24.
6 foot 150 when I graduated high school. I wish I still had my original driver's license.
Gosh, that's epic. I wish I had like a physique like that.
It's it proves that you can't judge a book by its cover. I'm sure the instructors looked at me and were like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?"
So I don't know. Like I was driving though, and I heard this war, and I instantly felt like a pile of shit. I was like, Here I am, long hair, getting on this boat, and my friends that I just graduated with are in this war, and I don't know anything about it. And that the whole day on the boat, I was like, yo, I got to do something. I got to do my part. I got to join the military. So I got off the boat that afternoon around like 3, and I went straight to the recruiting office, and I was covered in like fish guts and board shorts. I didn't know what the National Guard was. I didn't know the difference between the Army, Navy, and the Coast Guard at that point. And I walk into this armory, and because it's a recruiting station. And I don't know if you've been in a National Guard armory, but it's just like a wide open space, So I walk in there, and like the echoes of the door, and I'm just standing there in fish guts, and this guy, this soldier, was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I saw a sign outside that says recruiting. I was like, I just want to join this. I want to get information. And he like looked at me like, because I was covered in guts and I probably stank. He sent me down to the recruiter's office. I went in there. I sat down, and it was a female. Her name was Nicole Torres. And I said, I want to go to war. I don't want to be in the military, but I want to go to war. So like, what's the shortest enlistment?
It's a conundrum.
And how fast can I go? But like, I don't want to be like Garrison. I don't want to do the haircut forever. I just want to go do my part and then get out.
She's going to first have to describe to you how the military works.
Yeah.
Because that's not an option.
That's not an option. So she was like, well, we could do this 2-year enlistment and, you're not going to get any benefits. You're not going to get GI Bill or anything like this. And
so this was through the National Guard?
Yeah, this was like in the National Guard Armory.
Oh, man,
This was been like 2003.
My understanding of the National Guard and the way the time accrues, I think I know what they do a little bit, but people's different pipelines in and how they'll hop back and forth on that is a foreign language to me.
Yeah, it still is to me in the story. Like, but she's like, well, there's this thing. Let me show you a couple of recruiting videos. And she showed me this video. This guy's on a dirt bike, in a ghillie suit. And I'm like, what is that? She's like, oh, that's a Cav Scout. And I was like, are there those? And are they going to war? She was like, actually, they're deploying, but I don't think we can get you to basic training in AIT and then over there fast enough. And I was like, well, what if we could? Like, what would it take? And so she's like, well, we can try. And so it was like literally, that was like maybe on a Thursday. Like that Monday, I went and took the ASVAB, passed. And then she was like, okay, like, listen, I can do a 4-year enlistment for you. You're going to get the free college. You're going to get a $5,000 bonus, da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, let's just do that. Like, give me the 4 years. That sounds better. So I do. I go to basic training and I do the AIT thing. And then I deploy pretty much straight after that, a few months later, pretty much straight over to Afghanistan. And I get to Afghanistan. The minute we get off of the plane in Afghanistan, they're like, U6, you're going over here. And it was a town between Jalalabad and Kabul. It was a new place. And we didn't know anything about it. It wasn't briefed to us beforehand because we all thought we were going to like Kandahar or Bagram or something. Yeah. So we end up going to this little town and to this forward operating base. And we get there and we spend like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 months. And then this Green Beret unit comes through and they're like, we need 2 shooters. And we need the rest of you guys to go to this new fire base that we're going to establish between Gardez and Kabul. And so everybody packs up and my sergeant's like, yo, you're going to go with them as a gunner. And that's going to be you. So I end up being on a gun truck with this Green Beret unit. And we go to this fire base, Camp Cobra, but they changed the name Camp Cobra to like Darul Aman or something like that later on. But it was just this very small, I think there was like 30 total people. There wasn't even HESCO walls. It was like Constantina wire. And
damn.
But we were never there. We were just out all the time. This was 2005 at this point. And so I'm with these guys. I'm super quiet. They're all bearded out. I didn't know what they were. Like, I didn't know what a Green Beret was. Because special operations was pretty new but to the public. Like, there wasn't...
the Green Berets have been around since, what, the 60s?
No. Yes, they have. But, like, the public didn't
You're talking
know.
about public-facing or public knowledge.
Right, public knowledge of it. Like, if you would have said, like, SEAL Team 6, they would have been like, oh, is that, like...
You would have got in trouble
Warrior?
probably back in those days. Yeah.
So it wasn't like it is now where everybody knows what they are. So I'm just like looking at these guys, and of course the mission planning is crazy, the op tempo is crazy, the knowledge is crazy, and I don't know anything. And so I'm just trying to stay super quiet. And one of the guys kind of takes a liking to me, and I start doing PT with them, and we run up these mountains, and we do all these stuff, and they take me on a lot of operations. We go into Tagab Valley and do a raid in there and come back and get in a really, in my opinion, it was an epic firefight. They probably do it all the time, but for me, it was pretty intense. And we captured some guy, and we had to drive him all the way to Bagram and put him on an airplane like that night. And I just, and I was up on the gun, and they're like, hey, they're going to be coming for us, Tansey, keep your eye open, and I was just like, it was wild. So by the end of the deployment, I was like, I can't go back to that conventional side thing. Like, this is what I was born. This is what I was born to do. I love this, like the pressure, the maturity, like I do really well there. So I came home and I went to I was like, I want to be in the special forces. So I went to selection and got selected.
What is that, the SFAS?
Yeah, Special Forces Assessment Selection.
Yep.
But before that, again, didn't have a background in small unit tactics, didn't have Ranger School, didn't have, all I had was basic training really in AIT. And then what I learned in theater, but the way you do things in theater is not exactly the way that you do things in small unit tactics per se. So I went to like a pre-selection because, again, the National Guard at the time was spending a lot of money sending people to selection and things like that. So they wanted to make sure that you would pass
That makes sense.
Before you could get there. So you had to go to a pre-selection. It was like 2 weeks long or something like that. And I failed the first one. And so I had to wait like 4 months. And then I did the next one. And then I passed. And then they sent me to selection. And so I get to selection, and selection was brutal. But it was great. Like, I felt like I didn't have the knowledge that everybody had at selection, but like I'm really good carrying heavy things for a really long way and just keeping my mouth shut and I'm not a leader. I'm absolutely 100% not a leader, but like I'm a great pack mule. So I kind of just make it as the gray man through selection, but I don't know, I don't know how much you know about selection, but at the end of selection, or at least back then, you would finish selection, and they wouldn't tell you how long it was, whether it was like 15 days or 21 days. Your orders.
It ends with Robin Sage, right?
No, selection is just like a 3 weeks. I guess it's just like a 3 week tryout.
Got you.
That's like, that's the first phase.
Where's
it's like
Robin
really,
Sage?
really hard.
Robin Sage is
at the very end of the Q course.
The Q course. Got you. They're two different things. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how that is in the SEAL teams, but like, is
You
Buds
just go
3
to
weeks?
Buds. No, Buds is
The whole thing.
half a year.
Half a year. Okay. So
And then
this
at the end of that, you go to your team, but en route, you get the additional training.
Is there like a 3 week tryout or something to even go to Buds?
It has, well, I can't speak to what there is now, and I can't speak
then.
to what there is after I went through. You went to boot camp, they showed you this grainy VHS video in like the 4th week. Hey, does anybody want to apply for this? You raise your hand, you go to the pool, you did a swim, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, run. Then you had to go pick an A school that was commensurate with what would be accepted at Buds. You go to the A school, I picked the shortest one on the list, and then you show up at Buds. I don't remember there being a 3-week tryout, but there used to be a pre-selection. Like I said, there's been changes. When I went through, I just showed up after A school.
So to get into the Green Beret program, to even go to the school, you have to graduate selection.
Okay.
And you have to get selected.
I mean, that makes sense.
You don't even, it's not even if you finish it, you made it. It's like you can finish selection and not get selected. For peer evals, or maybe you sandbagged.
No, for sure. I get the concept, yeah.
So I finished selection, and I think our selection was like 17 days or 15 days, which, you think it's going to be 21, but you do the trek, which you don't know is the trek, and then you end up walking forever, and it's terrible and it's awful, and then you finish, and then they're like, congratulations, you're done. You're like, oh my God, And so you made it, whatever, but now you have to wait 4 or 5 days to find out if you got selected or not. So we're waiting around, and they would, every few hours, 6 to 8 hours, they would take, I don't remember. I know there was like 100 of us that got selected. I don't know how many finished selection, maybe 150, 175, right? And so all the 175, we'd be together, and they would say like, you 25 go over there, and you 25 go over there, and you 25 and they wouldn't tell you why. And so, you're looking around, and you're like, oh, well, Andy's a fucking stud. Like, he's badass. So if I'm in his group, like, I must have got it. It's like, but then you see like somebody else, and you're like, oh shit, but he's kind of fucking a sandbagger. Why is he in our group? Maybe I did make it, and then 8 hours later they would switch you again, So it was like a big mind fuck. But one day they were like, this group go to, this group go over there, and this group go to psych. And psych is like, when you're really tired at selection, like in day 2 or 3, you had to fill out this psych eval. It's like 700 questions. Do you like flowers? And it's all yes or no. Do you like kids? Do you like boys? Do you like girls? Do you have a good relationship with your mother? It's all yes or no. And I remember going down the list, and I was extremely tired. And I remember the one question, it said, have you ever considered being a mercenary? And I remember looking at that being like, some dumbass is going to write yes. Of course, we've all thought about it. That's why we're here. But like, you don't tell them that you've ever considered it. So like, obviously the answer is no. So I wrote no. Now, I'll never forget that question. But anyway, I'm in the psych line, and I'm thinking like, what did I do wrong on this psych eval? And I sit down in front of this psychiatrist, and I'm guessing like I didn't make it, because the rumor was if you got pulled out for psych, you're done. And you're probably going to get a never to return as well. Oh, interesting. Because they're not going to take crazy people. And I sit down with a psychiatrist, and she talks to me for like 30 minutes. She's like, how was your relationship with your mom and your dad and all these things? And I'm like, I love them all there. And then she leans forward, and she's like, well, so the reason we brought you in is because on your psychological eval, you checked yes to consider being a mercenary. Dude, I think I was so tired, and I thought about it so hard that I knew the answer was no.
But you bubbled yes.
But I bubbled yes because I don't know why, but I knew in the moment the answer was no. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't check no, but I knew. I was like, I looked at her, and I was like, I'm not religious, but I feel like if God called me to go around the world and tell people the good word, I would do that. And she was like, excuse me? And I was like, I'm not religious, but like, I feel like if I had a calling from God to go to another country and preach the gospel, I would learn that and I would do that. And she goes, are you talking about a missionary? And I was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? She's like, a mercenary. It's a hired gun from the government. And I was like, oh no, like I didn't even know what a mercenary. I just played so dumb. And so I got selected. I was like, all right. She's like, he's not crazy. He's just stupid. We'll take him. And so I ended up getting selected and I start the Q course and just as my luck has it, I go to small unit tactics, which is the hardest phase. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the Ranger school of the program. It's 9 weeks long. It's very, very hard, very difficult. I'm sure you guys do small unit tactics in the SEALs, all the op orders and, just constant op after mission planning. Again, not my forte. I'm a corporal at this time on E4 and everybody there is like Ranger qualified, super studs. CrossFit was just coming into the mix because now it's like 2005 or 6 or something like that. Everybody's doing CrossFit. Like everybody looks like out of the movie 300. I don't. I'm still pretty scrawny at that time. And everybody's got great war stories, right? Like they were in 1st Armor Division and Ramadi and like, everybody's got these crazy war stories. I didn't have any of that. So I was like, all right, well, in small unit tactics, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a pack mule. I'm going to work hard and just not do any of the leadership shit because that's not what I'm good at. So I go through all the small unit tactics and I peer really high. I think it was like 3rd in the class. Mm-hmm. And you go to a murder board at the very end if you make it. And the murder board, do you have murder boards in the SEALs?
Describe what you're talking
it's
about.
It would be like your sergeant major attack, like the instructor.
And they're discussing your performance?
And yes, they will like, you stand there, like kind of parade rest or whatever, and they basically tell you what you did good in the course and then what you did really bad.
That exists
and then if
in
you,
different phases, yeah.
If you pass or you fail.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That exists in different
And they
phases.
might ask you some questions to like clarify if they're going to pass or fail you. It's kind of stressful. So I get in front of the murder board, but I'm thinking I did good. Like, I don't think there was anything, like I didn't fuck up any missions. I didn't have any light indies on lights. I didn't fall asleep on patrols or anything like that. So, I was pretty confident going in there.
Yeah.
And so they were, they say a bunch of nice things about me and everything. And they were like, you peered really high. They said you peered really high. I think they said that I peered like 3rd highest in the class. I was like, oh, that's great. And the TAC goes, you know why you peered so high? And I was like, no, Sergeant, I don't know why. He goes, because you're a fucking pack mule. That's why. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, that's what I was going for. Like, that's what I'm good at. So I'm like, all right, cool. And he's like, we're not looking for pack mules. We're looking for leaders. And every time we try to put you in a leadership position, you passed it off. Why do you think we gave you so many opportunities? Just so you could fucking hand it to somebody else? And I was like, well, I mean, they're just better than me. They're more qualified to be the leader. and they were like, well, that's not what we're looking for here. I was like, all right. And then the sergeant major, or maybe it was the lieutenant colonel, whoever it was like, Tansey, if we were to say you could come back and start from day 1 on Monday, would you show back up? And I was like, of course. Thinking in my brain, there's no way I would because I'm beat.
That's the correct answer to the question.
Right. But it's they're like, great, we'll see you on Monday. And so I was like, well, which tent do I go? Because there's a failure tent and there's a non-failure tent. He's like, go to the non-failure tent. So I go in there and of course everybody's like, yeah, dude, you made it. And I'm like, I didn't make it. And they're like, of course you made it. You're here. And I was like, no, they like fucking said I got to start over next week. And they're like, dude, they're fucking with you. They just want to see if you're going to quit. Like they wouldn't have sent you here to this tent. So I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, dude, I bet you like on Sunday they're going to hit you up and you're going to be good, So of course we go back to brag. Everybody goes out and celebrates at Logan's Roadhouse or whatever it was, And so, but I'm like, I know I didn't make it. And so it's like really hard for me to like celebrate. And, of course you've been out in the woods for so long and the steak didn't even taste good to me or anything. And Sunday came and there was no word. And so I was like, I guess I'm fucking going back to this thing. So I started the process of packing and getting the packing list. And it was so, man, I called my best friend who was a SWAT team down in Florida. And he was kind of my mentor when I was overseas. And he was much older than me, like 12 years older than me. And so, I was like basically crying. I was like, dude, I don't think I have it. I don't have another 9 weeks. Like physically, my body will not. If I jump out of the airplane with 110 pounds again, like both my ankles are going to explode. Like I'm fucked. I got shin splints. Like I've got no toenails at this point. And I've like basically would lace my boots like one lace and then I would skip like 3 holes and then lace it because my feet would swell and the laces were like cracking the little bones on the top of my foot and it was just really painful. So, you know, I was like, dude, my body's not going to be able to do this. And he was like, listen, you know you're going and you're just going to go and you'll just go until those break. So there's no reason to sit here and cry on the phone about it. Like just fucking, you know that you're going to wake up at 0400 and you're going to get on that fucking bus and that's it. That's all you can do. So shut the fuck up and go get on the goddamn bus. Like, that's it. Like, there's no reason to even talk about it. So I was like, okay. And I didn't. And I showed back up and they were like, their class leader, which is always the captain, is going to be Corporal Tansey. And they made me the class leader the whole SUT. Didn't give me a break. And I fucked everything up because I was having to get jump masters, trying to organize getting birds for jumps, getting demo, getting training rounds. I mean, anything and everything, plus briefing op orders, you know, at that time we went from a tent city to these like brick buildings and that had to be mopped and swept every night. And they had skiffs that they had set up, like mock skiffs that you had to manage that and pat people down before they go in and out, all the stuff. And I'm in charge of all of it as a corporal. And I've got, you know, there were dudes there that are, you know, Purple Heart veterans, real Bronze Star with Valor veterans, like real fucking good guys, you know? And I mean, I was fucking it up and everybody was getting punished for it. You know, like we were missing infills. So then you wouldn't get an infill platform. So they would just make you walk like 9 miles in. And of course, everybody just fucking hates me, you know? And I peered dog shit. Like it wouldn't last, but it was pretty fucking close. But I make it the whole 9 weeks. And I think what saved me was the last final exercise. I was so fed up. And I knew that the final exercise, they wanted to see like motivation and shit. And I was like, everybody, we're all going to paint our faces the same. And everybody was like, what? And I was like, everybody paint your face solid green and then have your buddy trace a fucking handprint. And we're going to be like native. We're going to be like savages. Oh, can I say that? Is that racist?
I don't know.
Like old days.
The internet will decide.
Probably shouldn't have said that. But anyway, we're going to go fucking savage. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go savage. And we're going to, you know, do these black handprints and we're just going to fucking be animals. And because you're going to lose the final exercise. I mean, it's set for failure. But I was like, at least we'll fucking we'll look badass and we'll be motivated. And matter of fact, I go to the murder board after the whole thing was over. And it did come up about the face paint. There was like, whose idea was it for the face paint on that final operation? I was like, it was mine. He's like, it was pretty fucking badass. And I was like, oh, thank God. And they were like, well, you know, when you weren't in charge, you peered really high. When you were in charge, you peered really low. What do you have to say about it? And I was like, I have learned so much from even being here. Thank you. This is obviously not for me. I'm not cut out to do this, but man, I wouldn't have traded the last, you know, however many months it was for any of it. So thank you, you know. And they were like, well, hold on. If we sent you to SEER, do you think you could dial it in, get somewhere in the middle? And I was like, yeah, of course. I was like, are you serious? Did I pass? And they're like, you passed. And I was like, oh my God. And then one guy was like, man, I think you're the first guy to be that excited to go to SEER. I was like, I won't let you down, you know? And so I go to SEER, pass, everything's great, go to all these other little courses and schools. I find myself in language school. And at the time, Fort Bragg didn't have on-post housing. And so there was this thing, and you can look it up. It's pretty, it was a big deal back then. But basically, guys were renting apartments and then subletting the rooms out for full BAH.
Yeah.
And
that's real.
I was paying it, the full BAH. I wasn't one of the guys renting the rooms out, but they got caught up in an investigation. I just graduated SEER, and the guys that were putting this thing together, they were all like E6s, you know, much higher rank than I am. And I think one was a captain. And so the CID or whatever wanted to, you know, question me, and I was focused on my area of responsibility. And they're like, dude, we have a check. Like, you wrote checks to these guys. Like, all we're asking you to do is like initial here and tell us, you know, how long you were doing it, and da-da-da. They already know. Like, they already have all the information. We didn't hide anything that we were doing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was just refusing. I was like, I'm not going to do that. And they're like, hey, you're not in trouble. Like, they are in trouble, but you have to cooperate or you're going to be in trouble. And I was like, I'm not. So then I have to go to the Sergeant Major of SWCC, and he's like, what are you doing? You know? And he calls my unit, and my unit calls me back, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing up there? And I was like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I fucking paid my rent. I paid it on time. And I don't know what the fuck those guys are doing. That ain't on me. And so since I wouldn't cooperate, I was removed from the course with a general letter of reprimand from the training house with a return date So I didn't get an NTR. And I got sent back to a group on probation. So I got sent back to 20th group on probation. And that was really hard because I'm a corporal and I'm kind of like, the National Guard's not very happy about this whole situation. And they make me go to everything, man. They send me to waterborne operations, little course that they put on. It's 2 weeks. It sucks. Like you're in a Zodiac boat in the swamps of Florida. It blows. I do that. They send me to RASP, Ranger Indoctrination Program. I come back from that, but I don't go to Ranger School. Then I got to go to, they send me to California to link up. We did like link up operations with a SEAL team, like doing link ups between an ODA and a SEAL team out in the field type scenarios. And basically just anything that came up, I had to do. And my team went to Nicaragua. I didn't go because I was supposed to have a Q course date back at language school. I go back to language school. The slots were full. They send me back. I come back, buy my time. I think they put me on funeral detail at that point. So now I'm working honor guard, which is also sucks because like I have the paratrooper boots and the red beret. And so nobody else has that. And there's a lot of expectation when you're the only guy that has all the ribbons and the wings and the combat action badge and the boots. And so everybody thinks that you're like this really squared away guy, but you're really not. And so I become like the squad leader at the Sarasota National Cemetery. And, that was fun. It was great, but that was where I get to start practicing being a leader. I was like, oh, wait, hold on. I got this. Like, this is nothing. Like, this is where we're going to be, what time we're going to be here. I get through it. I get a course back to the Q course. I go back up there and I don't have an updated physical. So not a problem. Do the physical on Wednesday. Class starts on Monday. Thursday comes around and I do the HIV test, but it's a 3-day weekend. And so the HIV test doesn't come back. But for SWIC, it wasn't a 3-day weekend. We started language school on Monday. In SWIC, which is not the Navy SWIC.
Correct. It's a special warfare center.
Yeah. You can miss 5% of training with a waiver, but you can never miss the first day. Oh. I didn't get my HIV test back.
Wouldn't it be just a classroom day anyway, essentially?
It was bullshit. It's language school. And I've already did like 6 weeks of language school. So it was like, whatever. But they didn't have my packet wasn't done. So I didn't get to go back. I didn't get to go to language school that time either. And this sucks because every time you're moving your whole ass up there with all your shit because you're going to be up there for months only to turn around and have to go right back home. It was tough. And I was married at the time to my high school sweetheart. She wasn't having any of this. So she was cheating on me and doing all this other stuff. And so it was just wasn't working out. And I get back. She left me with my best friend that I lived in that apartment with, and they end up having kids together and everything. And so now I got no friends. I'm not a Green Beret. And I end up going to this wedding, meet my now wife, and she's like, yo, I had a Green Beret wedding. I meet her. I was a groomsman, and she was a bridesmaid. And so everybody there's a Green Beret but me, So
it's like a Hallmark movie.
It's terrible.
You're staring at each other across the aisle, a little winking.
Yeah, it's like.
Also, you might want to recategorize the guy you described as your best friend who was banging your wife.
Oh, he's not my best friend.
I was going to say, I don't know if he ever was.
At the time.
Was he?
Was he? Well, I think
at the point that he starts porking your wife, he's no longer your best friend.
Yeah. Right,
I mean,
sure.
you can have.
I've never talked to him again since.
You can have your own go no go criteria, but for me, I'm going to draw a line in the sand on that.
It's been 20 years. So I meet this girl. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. She's from France. Totally the opposite of me. Really smart chick. We hit it off pretty well. I was kind of just getting into wine at the time, and so she was kind of impressed by that and my very basic wine knowledge. And anyway, she's flying back from France to St. Augustine for Christmas. I'm like, holy shit, I live in St. Augustine. That's where I'm going to go for Christmas. And so we meet up, whatever. But she's like, I'll never date a Green Beret. Like, that's just, I would never date somebody in the Army. Like, that's not the life I want. I want a lot of kids and stuff. How did she even know
what that life would mean?
Because her best friend married.
Yeah, but they were just starting the journey together. Give it a few years to fall apart.
Yeah, but she knew. She knew she wasn't going to have it. So
before you move on about, because I know that you made the decision to marry her, if you could go back in time and cooperate with the CID when they were asking you, would you cooperate?
I would have done everything different back then, yes. Okay. Yes, I would have. I mean, I was wildly immature. I had a very grandiose vision of my military life because I think I'd read those books and I thought, I thought it was going to be something much different than it was. And
what do you think it was going to be?
Well, I mean, it was what I thought it was going to be, but like I just pictured myself as like being the Charlie Sheen character, the goofball. That like the guy that just kind of like carries heavy shit, and he's there when I'm the guy that just shoots straight, does really good PT, but I don't need to be a part of like the mission planning and all that other stuff. And I thought I was going to skate through.
Yeah, but how are you ever going to get good at that stuff unless you practice? Leadership is a skill.
Yeah, I mean, I was a great shooter.
Yeah.
You know, I actually qualified the highest in my unit, not 20th group, but
I get it, but you kept telling everybody that you're not a leader. But how are you ever going to become one unless you practice?
You know, I think at the time, well, I know at the time, I thought that you were born a leader or you were born a pack mule or a follower.
Oh, definitely not.
And you know, people tell you, you know, to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And I just thought, well, like I'm a great follower. Like I'm really great. If you tell me to go bang rocks, I'll be the best rock banger you've ever met.
You're leaving out half that equation, though.
Yeah,
like if you're going to master the followership, it should be in the pursuit of being a good leader.
I get that now, but I was 24. You know what I'm saying? And like it just didn't register to me. It just didn't. Like I said, I was wildly immature, and I thought I could just snake by as just not having to take the responsibilities of being a leader and fucking things up and being the bad guy. Like that's what it was, really. I didn't want to be the bad guy. I want to be the guy that everybody liked. I didn't, you know. In my mind, the leader was the fucking guy that nobody likes, and it's an asshole, you know.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Shitty leaders are. All right, so fast forward.
So anyway, the funniest part of this whole story is that I ended up getting out like 6 months later. I figure out a way like to ETS. They want me to re-enlist to go back to the Q course, and I was like, I'll re-enlist, but you have to guarantee me a slot back. Like we're not guaranteeing you shit.
Yeah,
we're not guaranteeing you shit. And I was like, okay, great. Well, when my ETS date comes up in August, I'm gonna bounce. So August comes forward, I bounce. The sergeant major calls me in. He yells at me and he was like, you're going to spend the rest of your life fucking telling your kids, your future kids that you're, never a Green Beret. You're making the biggest, you're pissing away all this money. We spent all this investment on you. And I was just sit there and took it. And I was like, yes, sir, Major. And then I left. And that was the end of it. And so then I travel up to, I call her and I'm like, yo, I'm out of the military. Where are you at? And she's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm starting my master's degree at NC State. And I was like, rad, we talked for a little bit. So I was like, dude, I'm going to surprise her in a few months. I'm going to move up there and like chase this girl. So I wait a few months to get my shit in order. And then I show up at her door in Raleigh. I got my own little apartment up there and everything. And I got myself settled. And then I went and met up with her. And she's like, so I got some bad news. Like, I've got a boyfriend now. And I was like, oh my God, like, do you like me or do you like him? Or like, how does, she's like, I mean, if I would have known, maybe I was like, well, I'll take care of the boyfriend. She's like, well, what does that mean? I was like, I got this. Like, keep your phone on. So I drive to this guy's work. It was at a restaurant. And I'm like, can I talk with the general manager of this, because that's what he was. And so he steps outside and I just go, hey man, listen, like, I just got out of the military. I just moved up here. I know that you're dating this girl. And, so two things can happen. Either I can cheat on her with, sleep with her or date her or do whatever I want, and it'll be cheating on you. Or you can just like break up with her, or she can break up with you. But like what I'm saying is like, I'm here now, and like that's gonna happen. He was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, so he calls her and she's like, so I'm so sorry. He's like, this is the most fucked up way to be broken up with on the planet.
It's top three for sure.
They'd only been dating for like a month or something like that. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
To you.
And, to me. But yeah, so then, so I got her and then we got married and so I needed a job and I thought I was going to be a wine salesman. So I tried to be a wine salesman, shitty salesman, by the way. That's not going to work. So I become a cop and that's where life gets really fucked up.
I mean, yeah, if you struggle at wine sales, definitely just become a cop. That's just a total normal trajectory.
Well, what else did I have? So I become this cop. And
how much we could go alphabetically, numerically. You could have been a mailman like your dad. You could,
well, sure.
Yeah.
But I just felt like this would be a good idea, a good fit for me, and it was great. But
made
it was
you think
crazy.
that would be? So what I'm getting is that you don't like to be told what to do. And then you want to go to a police academy?
I have no problem being told what to do.
The story that you just told would be indicative of perhaps being resistant to rules, or especially when like the
am I going to live in an HOA? No. But if you told me to take your trash out right now, I would happily take your trash out.
Yeah, but that's not it. I'm talking like CID saying, hey, you need to work with us. Like, how about you take a step back and, piss into the wind and see how wet you get.
Right.
And I'm not saying it negatively, because some people are inherently kind of like that. It's just wild that then you're going to go into an occupation where you enforce the rules on others.
Well, let's go back to the CID thing. like I didn't even know what CID was back then, basically. And I didn't really I thought it was all like kind of a joke. Like I was like, dude, I didn't do anything fucking wrong. Like fuck these guys. Like who are they?
Yeah,
they don't know me.
Authority.
Like they don't know me. Like I didn't do anything wrong.
I get it.
Like I would, you know what I mean?
Just like I'm going to get
I'm just trying to survive here
for the remainder of the year. You're anti-authority. I get it. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. But then
I was stupid.
But then
sure.
you became the authority.
For sure, I was stupid. Yeah. So that's why I have this book, because I was a terrible cop. So that's it. So I become a cop, and the academy was nuts because there's this like Navy SEAL that was actually kind of a stolen valor thing, but it hadn't come out yet that he was a stolen valor SEAL.
Kim Kennedy?
No, was he a SEAL?
I don't know if Kim was. I said Kim Kennedy.
Hey, you'd say whatever you want. I don't even know the guy, but so this guy he says he's a SEAL, and he's this bigger than life black
who
guy.
knows? There is a chance that he was full of shit, but also a chance not. Who knows? But
so this big old black guy, and so you day one of any training, right? It's you line up, everybody yells at you the same shit. I've been through this a million times. I'm good. So we stand out there, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be the gray man at this course. It's gonna be so easy for me. Like this is gonna I was born to do this shit. Like, let's go. Like I've got the best tie on, the best suit. Like I had it tailored. I look fucking awesome, but not too awesome. Suits, but not but I'm not too awesome. But I'm like CIA awesome. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be the perfect gray guy. Like I even picked out shoes that were like not shiny but not dull. Like I planned this out to a T, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna war game this whole fucking academy, and this is gonna be a breeze. And like all the things that I learned and I fucked up at the course, I'm going to dial it in here. I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to do all the things. First day, lined up. Everybody, they're yelling, doing all the things. And the fake SEAL was like, big black guy, he was like, which one of you? Where's my SF guy at? Where's my Green Beret? And I was like, oh, shit, there's a Green Beret in the class. That's cool. Like, wonder if I know him, Nobody raises their hand. He was like, oh, come on now. You don't think we seen your DD-214s? I know you in here. You better speak up. I know what you're trying to do. Where's my Green Beret at?
Somebody needs to learn how to read a DD-214.
He doesn't speak up. And I'm like, man, why won't this fucking guy just fucking say something? And all of a sudden he gets right in my face. And he was like, why are you saying you're going to hide from me? Cadet Tansey? And I was like, I'm not a Green Beret, sir. And he's like, oh, so now we're going to play with words. Aren't we, SF? We're going to play with words over here,
Words matter.
So he was like, drop down. And I was like, fuck, so now I'm doing punishment. And so this guy calls me SF the whole class. And I'm telling everybody in the class, I'm not SF. I was in an SF unit, but I'm not SF. I'm like, I'm being extremely transparent. And it was like, dude, because I was on the honor guard. So now I'm in charge of the flag folding shit. Now I'm the class leader or the squad leader, whatever. It was just like, and I was fucking everything up there. And it was awful. And I just had a rough, I was getting smoked constantly because none of these guys are former military. They're all college kids, so they can't do anything right. So we're just getting smoked for everything. And of course, they're putting it on the military guys. There's like 3 of us, and they're like, why can't you guys, get these guys in line? And we need y'all to step up. It was just fucking sucked, man. It was just like extra. You go to the shooting course, and they're like, come on, SF, why don't you go first? Let's see what let's show them how to do it, SF. So then there's a lot of pressure because, these guys have never shot before, and now you're forced to do it good. And, the driving, you're the first one to go. And it was what it was. But it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. So then I become a rookie, and they move me to the Southeast District Station right off the bat, which is the hardest district in the city. It's where all the gang members are. And
this is in North Carolina still?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And so I show up, and my training, it starts at 6 p.m. shift. I get there like 4:30. And because you have so much shit. You got your gun belt. You got all the belt keepers, which I think there was like 6 of them. You got your pepper spray, and you got all your riot gear. You got shotgun. You've got road guard vest, flashlight cone.
Flare pieces,
clipboard, all this stuff you had to have at the academy. So I'm thinking you got to have it for shift. So it's a lot. The packing list is a lot. So I wake up at like 3 to check it off as I'm putting everything into the car, because I don't want to be the guy that shows up without his shit.
Totally.
So I get there 4:30, just in case I forget something, I can run home, come back and get it. So 4:30, so I sit in the parking lot. 5:30 rolls around. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go into the locker room and try to find my locker and stuff, because shift starts at 6. I walk in the door, and there's a cop, a real cop, and he's like, "Are you Eric?" And I hadn't heard my first name in for a while at that point. And I was like, I am Eric. And he was like, "Great, we have a call. Go get in the car." And I was like, oh shit, like I'm supposed to be in roll call at 6. So if I leave now and I don't make it to roll call, like I'm going to be fucked. Because in the academy, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I was like, but I don't want to argue with this guy that I don't know. Plus I've heard all the rookie hazing shit. So I don't know if that's hazing or whatever. So I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So I go out there and it's a sea of fucking cop cars, you know, and I don't know which ones. So I'm just standing there and I was like, hey, which car's ours? He's like, the one that's running, that's sitting right here. And I was like, fuck. Like,
so you're not ready to be a detective yet?
Right, yeah. Okay. So I go to that car and I put all my shit in there and I go to the passenger seat and he's like, you're driving. And at this point, I've never driven a cop car. Like the ones that you drive in the academy are like these beater Crown Vics that like have nothing in them. So now I get into this thing, it's like a fucking cockpit. Radar, radio, multiple radios, AR-15, shotgun, laptop, all the things, like lights everywhere. It was like being in the cockpit of like a C-130 at that time. You know, that Crown Vic to me was like an aircraft carrier that morning.
I feel like it's largely irresponsible for them to not explain to you how to use that stuff before driving it as well.
Right.
Like, what if you guys had actually needed the AR and you, because I'm assuming they're locked.
Well, that would have been his AR, not mine.
Yeah, but what if he's incapacitated?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe just give me a once over how to get the thing out of the rack.
Yeah. No, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So we get in the car and I'm not from Raleigh. I've only been in Raleigh for like at this point, maybe like 7 months. And out of that 7 months, I've been in the academy the whole time. So I've literally just gone back and forth. So I don't know any of Southeast Raleigh. Never been there in my life. So we get this call and I'm like, hey man, I don't know where I'm going. You're going to have to help me. And he's like, I got you. So we go, it's like 10 minutes down the road, maybe not even that. We pull up this house and there's this kid standing in the front yard. And now it's like 5:40 in the morning. And the kid comes to the driver's side where I'm sitting and he was like, my mom is off of her meds and she needs help. And so I look over at my training officer and he's like, what are you looking at me for? He's like, go help her. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, great. Like, I've been a cop now for like 10 minutes. Sure. So I'm like, all right, man, where's your mom? And she's like, she's right up there. So I get out of the car and there's this 400-pound lady. Like, I'm not joking. Like huge, standing at the top of a set of stairs. Big old black lady with a sundress on. You know, the Jamaicans wear like a thing on their head. It was an American flag thing on her head. And I'm like, I walk up there and I steeple my fingers, you know, like, yeah. And I'm like, hi, ma'am, I'm Officer Tansey of the Raleigh Police Department. How can I be of service to you today? Because I think that's what I learned in the academy. And she just sits there and she goes, and she gets up on her toes and she starts like a street fighter, like in the game Street Fighter. She just starts rocking back and forth with her fist up, elbows in. And I'm just taking it all in. I'm like, damn, like that's good form actually. And I was like, man, what are you doing? What's going on? Why'd you just come down here and talk to me? She looks me dead in the eyes, takes her teeth out, sets him down on the railing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like
Taser.
I'm about to fight. I didn't have one.
What?
Didn't have one yet.
Pepper spray.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, dude, this bitch is gonna murder me. So I look back at my training officer, and he's standing back by the car like this, hand on his face, like just chill.
For clarity, I don't think he was living up to his role as a training officer at this point.
At this point, no.
Yeah, I don't know this person at all. I've never been a cop.
He's actually really great.
I'm assuming he's fantastic, but I'm assuming at this point he is like maybe had a bad day and is just entertaining himself.
I think that he thought because everybody had called me SF and everybody was hyping me up to be something that I absolutely was not. And it didn't matter how hard I tried to tell people. Like, I feel like when they told me I was going to Southeast District, I was like, okay, like, I mean, I wanted to go there, but like, now I feel like there's an expectation of me to be there. And maybe, I don't know, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but so I look at him and then I look back and here she comes running down the stairs right for me. And I'm like, shit. So like a bull in the arena, like a matador, she's the bull. I move out of the way and she runs by me out onto the yard and I'm like, what the frick is going on, dude? And so she's like, she lays down, she takes the flag off of her head, fluffs it out, lays it like a sheet out onto the ground, and she lays on it, this American flag. Now, at this point, a school bus shows up. Homeboy goes and gets on the school bus and leaves. The most fucked up part of this story that sticks with me, and the reason why it's in the book and I've never forgotten it, is because I'm like, that kid just went to school all day and has no idea what happened next.
Probably,
which is fucking crazy. Because this is a crazy story. So she's laying on this flag and she's like, you want to arrest me, big boy? And I'm like, no, not really. I don't really want to do that. Why don't you just talk to me? And so she gets up on one arm, huge, like this is like a manatee, reaches back, grabs a sundress, and starts shimmying it up her body.
That's what I'm talking about.
She frees these big giant boobs, gets it over her head, now she's naked. And she's like, now you gonna arrest me?
Just get
and I was
back
like,
in your car and drive off, dude.
yes. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, now, like fast forward 5 years, I would have just been like, yep,
And
I'm
what's
out.
the training officer doing at this point?
Still standing at the car.
Is
leaning
he at
up
least
against it.
laughing?
No, he's still got still doing this. So, and at this point, another cop car had pulled up, and like now there's a conversation going, and I'm like,
But
looking
neither
like,
of them are assisting you
no,
in any way.
and nor do they give a fuck.
Okay.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'm arresting you now. And she's like, and I was like, for lewd and lascivious acts? Because I didn't know what the rule was. It's like I was like asking her what I'm arresting her for. And she jumps up like a half burpee. And I'm thinking, in that moment, I remember going, how is she that fucking athletic? Like, this is the biggest chick in the world. Like, how did she just half burpee all the way to her feet like that? She gets up, and at this point, my mind, because that's how my mind works, I process things in my brain, but my brain goes faster than my body reacts. Probably noticed that in my jiu-jitsu. So I'm like super slow and suck. So I'm like trying to process everything. And it is like, she's starting to grunt. She's like, ugh. And I was like, why is she grunting? And she's like, ugh. And then my body catches up to my brain and her butthole is opening up and a turtle head is poking out. And then when she stops grunting, the turtle head goes back into her ass.
Why are you behind her watching this?
Because she did a half burpee and it's like this.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely,
Grunting,
that's your cue to get back in the car.
Yeah, I'm like, so I like once my brain processes that she's trying to shit on me, I turn around, I look at my training officer, I was like, I turn around like in panic, and he goes, put her in cuffs. And I go, she's trying to shit on me. At this point, she's now chasing me with her butt. She's running backwards, and I'm doing one of these. And she's like...
Did you guys have body cams on?
No.
Damn it.
I didn't have it yet. So I'm trying to outmaneuver this 400-pound lady trying to shit on me, and then she takes off running back up the stairs. And I look back at him, and he goes, now he's mad. Like, now he's inched closer, and he goes, go get her. And I'm like, okay. So I run to the stairs. I go like halfway up. In the military, we don't go in anywhere by yourself.
Yeah.
So I get halfway up the stairs. I turn around, look. Those two cops, one was a SWAT guy, which I didn't know at the time, but I knew now. But they're just standing. He's big as fuck. They're just standing there, and I'm like, and he goes, "Go get her," and I was like, "Oh shit!" So now I'm kind of mad. Like I'm pretty disappointed in myself. The whole situation. Like I just want it to be over. So I run like 3 more steps up the stairs. She comes out of the house and she's like, "My president's black, motherfucker!" And she smashes something over my head. Now I'm wearing a picture frame of President Barack Obama over my fucking neck. And I'm like just standing there, and then both the other cops come pulling beside me, almost fall. Like I like get up against the railing. They run up. One dude like smacks her in the face, hangs her over the railing, pulls out his pepper spray, sticks it up to her nose. He's like, "You want to get sprayed, bitch?" And she was like, "No." And he goes, "Then put your hands behind your back." She's like, "Okay, damn, jeez." And he cuts her up, and he looks at the SWAT guy looks over me. He's like, "Was it that hard?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
yes, it was.
I didn't know we could just smack them. Like,
I don't think you can.
It's so, we can, because she smashed a painting over my head. So yeah, it's game on from there.
Is it though?
Yes, 100%. If I hit you in the head with something and you're a cop, you can beat the shit out of me after that.
I feel like there's a limit to what you can do.
I mean, there's a limit, but like, it's definitely hands-on. She's already putting her fist up. She's already taking her teeth out. Like, she's in for a fight.
I guess.
Like, she's in for the fight. I mean, they didn't hit her hard. It's not like they fucking like broke her face or anything. But so we get her down. We get her in the cop car, and that's the whole thing that I'm trying to do, because it's a small car and she's a huge lady. So I'm having to like run around one side of the car, open it up, try to pull her back, and then she would try to. So I run around the other thing. And now it's like 6:01. I'm missing roll call, and I don't know if that's going to be a big deal or not. But anyway, I get the door closed, and I'm good, right? And he's like, "You just gonna take her to the jail naked?" And I was like, "Oh my God." So now I got to go get this dress, open the door, start the whole fucking thing over. Yeah. Throw this thing on there. So anyway, we get her down to the jail, which is a whole nother fiasco down to the jail. She gets butt naked again at the jail. Shit's all over the floor, and it was awful. And that was my first day, and it really never got better. I was a bad rookie. I mean, I was a good rookie. My training officer went on paternity leave. And so I got thrown in with these other 3 guys who eventually would go on to form their own squad. They were so good at their job. that they formed their own squad. It was called the Flex Team. And they had a very unique way. It's all in the book. It's a very unique way of policing. And they were just badass. Like the one dude, he has a story bigger than life. He looks like a Western. He was like 35 or 36. I don't know.
Like a Wyatt Earp stash.
Wyatt Earp stash, you know. And he was lean and just super cut. And the other guy, Ralph, he's just jacked and it looks like Wreck-It Ralph. That's why I call him Ralph in the book. The other kid's a college wrestler. His name was Spoon. And they ruled the gangland. Like they would stop a car. They would know the guy's name instantly. Sirius got into policing because he owned this landscaping business, and his one of his workers was on lunch break and gets murdered on lunch break. Jesus. And so he gives up his really successful landscape business, which he now has again, but he gave it up to become a cop to avenge this guy. And so he's like a man on a mission. He's like a man on fire type guy. And so they would make arrests over a small amount of dope, and they would take him back to the station and question him. And then Spoon, the wrestler, he had like a photographic memory. He's a lawyer now, but he would know every gang member. And so they would just wreak havoc in the district. They knew every player, everything. And it was fascinating to watch them work. Like they were getting in foot chases all the time. But the three of them were just, on point. They worked out together every day. And so he goes on paternity leave and I get sent with them. And I show up to them and it's just, they don't want me. They're we've got our own thing going. And so now I'm trying to fit in with them and it wasn't working out for me. I was just, everything I would try to do good would be an epic failure, just catastrophic failure. And then it got to the point, and those are all in the book, but it got to the one point where we have a new sergeant. And so it was Sunday. We got to serve warrants on Sundays. It's normally what we do on Sundays during the day, is try to clear the beat bags of warrants. Why Sundays? Because in the hood, everybody goes home to mama's house for after church, lunch and dinner, or they go to church, but they're not out partying. They're not. You're likely to actually encounter them or know where they are. Yeah. So it's a good time to serve those warrants, and they're all hungover from partying over the weekend and stuff. So they have a really high value warrant, and it's a violent warrant. Guy had a big rap sheet, gun violence, the whole 9 yards. And so they're going to go do morning breakfast. And normally the way it works is we would all go to breakfast and then we would come back to the station and we would spend 4 hours coming up with a strategy. They would bring up we had a big board like this and they would try to say we're going to go with this guy first and we're going to call him, you're going to call this person, you're going to start working this, that, and that. So it's a big ordeal. But I knew that they wanted this one guy. And we have this new sergeant, and the new sergeant was having breakfast with them. I didn't want to be there for it because I just felt like I was a rookie, and it would be awkward if I was there because I'm sure he wanted to talk to them about all their amazing work. So I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find everywhere this guy's not, and I'm going to go ahead and check it off the block and have a whole bunch of intel. So when they get back to the office, Eric's got it all laid out for them. And then I've already talked to mom, I've done this, I've done that. I called, these detectives and I've done all this work. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that he's not at mom's house early in the morning. Cause now it's 6:45 in the morning, right? So I drive down to mom's house and there's no car there, no car in the driveway or anything like that. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go talk to mom. I'd already seen all the notes that mom was very cooperative and mom doesn't really support what her son does. So good to go, right? So I'll get that, check off the box. I go up to the door, I knock on the door, and this 25-year-old chick opens the door. And I'm like, hey, I'll just call him Marcus for the story, but I said, is Marcus here? Yeah. And she's like, no, what's up with Marcus? And I said, well, are you Marcus's mother? Knowing there's no way that she's Marcus's mother because he's 22. And she was like, I am. So my heart starts beating because now I know she's lying. And I'm like, oh shit, she's lying to me. This is not his mom. And so I said, so Marcus isn't here? And she's like, what my baby do? I said, oh, nothing. It's just it's an OFA. It's just a order for arrest because of a traffic violation. And matter of fact, it's going to be a no bond. I don't even need to take him down to the jail. He can go down. He can just go to the magistrate's office and take care of the ticket and everything, and he's got to be done with it. But can you let him know since he's not here? Can you just let him know that I'll give you my number and you can call me? And she was like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like, okay, great. I don't know why, to this day, I don't know why I said this, but I said, hey, listen, I've got a bunch of notes here from you, the mom, from you, that says, he's not here and that you haven't seen him, you haven't spoke with him. And I feel bad that all these cops keep having to come to your house, every week. So if you just let me walk around the house and verify that he's not here, I will mark this off the list and no cops will come back since you're so cooperative with us. And she was like, she looks back into the house. She looks back at me. And I know she's going to say no, which is great because then I'm going to call the guys. I'm going to say he's here, and I'm watching the back door and the front door. Y'all pull around the side of the house so I can see both. And like, we're going to get this guy. It's going to work out. She goes, yeah, come on in. Now, I haven't told anybody what I'm doing. I haven't got out on the radio. Nobody knows I'm there. And now I'm going into this house by myself. So I go in and I don't have my gun out because I've told this lie, essentially, that it's an OFA. And I don't want to like come in for no reason with my gun out at this point, which I should have, didn't. And I go to the first door and I open it and I don't want to see him. So I just like open the door and like close it. Like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. And the whole time I'm telling myself, like, you're an idiot. You're so fucking stupid. Like, just turn around and leave. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get in and get out. And I'm going to call the guys. And then I'll never do this again. I open the next door and there he is, trying to get out the window. And so I run into the room and I grab him by the hair. I pull him back from the window. I tell him that he's under arrest. He turns around and starts fighting me. There was bunk beds. So I pushed him over to the bunk bed and like a child, he kind of like crawled to the other side of the bunk bed. And so like I ran around the bunk bed to come get him and he went under and tried to come back out. So
Strong move.
It's like chasing a 3-year-old at this point. So he goes back to the window to try to get this window open. And, I grab him by the dreads and I yank him back into the room and I get on the mount position. But as I mount him and I go to start punching him, I look up and there's girlfriend with a coffee mug launching it at my face. So I'm like deflecting this coffee mug, rolling off of him. I pull out my pepper spray. I hose her down. He's managed to crawl his ass back up underneath the bed. I grab him by the ankles, pull him back out of the bed, grab him by the dreadlocks, which makes him scream. I put the pepper spray like right in his mouth unintentionally. It was not intentional, but I fill his mouth up with capsicum spray. Mom shows up. I don't know which room she was in, but she's in there and now she's slapping me on the back of the head, grabbing my vest, trying to yank me off. So I grab mom. Of course, I don't know it's mom at the time. And I sling her down to the ground. I'm pushing her face into the ground while trying to cuff him. The girlfriend, she's running around like, oh, my motherfucker, I can't see, So I get her on the radio. I'm like, Raleigh, I need help. Send everybody down here to the blah, blah, blah apartments, And I hang up and it's
Said Batman.
Yeah, like fucking send everybody to the National Guard. And so I end up getting all 3 of them. So I got 2, I only have 2 handcuffs, handcuff girlfriend and homeboy. And I got mom kind of like by the shirt. She ain't going to go nowhere. She's too old anyway. And so I'm walking out of the house and the door flies open and it's the 3 guys, the flex team. And I'm like, I got him, and they were like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck are you even thinking? Like, you're so goddamn retarded. Like, dude, that's it. This is fucking done. Like, we're so tired of this shit, dude. Like, you're so done. And then this other guy that just kind of like loved me was like, Leroy Jenkins. And so I'm like, dude, I'm fucked, man. This is it. This is like, cause I've lost foot chases up to this point and it's just like, the book is really funny. All my mishaps, getting lost and car chases, all sorts of just bad moments. And so I'm pretty much off the squad at this point. I'm pretty fucked, I think. I'm pretty sure. And then I get a call from Sirius, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to meet me at this hibachi place." And I was like, "Fuck, man! Like, I just don't want to go. I'm already getting berated in the gym. Like, everybody makes fun of me. Like, they hide my shoes in the ceiling tiles now. Like, I am the lowest. Like, I went from being in the Q course, like doing some really badass shit, jumping out of planes, and now I am that guy. Like, I am the guy that everybody fucking is picking on. And I know it. Like, I internally know that I am fucking this all up. And no matter what I do to try to be better, it just keeps getting worse. So I show up and then there's the canine officer. And in the police department, the canine officer is kind of like the coolest guy in the school. Like, he's the popular one. And Bruno was no different. Big, larger than life, Boston Irish guy, fucking louder than fucking life, And they're sitting at the table, and I know what's coming, and I just sit down, and they're like, "What's up, man?" And I was like, "Nothing. What's up with you guys?" And he's like, "How's the wife and kids?" And I was like, "Dude, you don't need to ask me about my wife and kids. Like, you guys, if you're telling me that I'm moving the district, that's fine. Just fucking let Sarge do it. Like, what do you like? What's your angle?" And Bruno's like, "Yo, there's no angle. We just want to have dinner with you, bro." And I was like, no, you don't. You're going to fucking shit on me. You know, tell me how bad I suck. Like, I fucking know, dude. I know I suck. And he was like, yo, listen, you're here every day for workout. You work out just as hard, if not harder than everybody else. You do your dry fires. You're always shooting. Like, you give a shit. You care. You're always trying. You just need to be, like, you just need help. And I was like, yeah, that's what I need. And he's like, I fucking need help because this sucks. Like, this sucks. And he's like, tell you what, we're going to be your training officer from now on. We're going to help you. You're going to ride with me. The canine officer says this. That's the coolest thing in the whole department. And I was like, what? And he was like, you're going to ride with me, dude. We're going to team up. We're going to fuck shit up. Me and you. And serious.
How many times did you ask for help before this?
None.
Why?
It didn't really apply. It didn't occur to me to do that. I don't know.
How? Like, if you were self-aware enough to realize that your words, not mine.
Just really wasn't the culture.
It's never the culture.
The culture was...
If you're talking about a group of men, largely, it's never the culture to ask for help.
Right. I mean, I already felt like I was in everybody's way. And,
yeah, that's why you ask for help.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Like, I know all this now, but, like, of course, back then it was... You know, it was dumb. And Bruno adopted me, and Sirius, and you know, I looked up to Sirius more than anybody. I still do. I still think he's, you know, probably one of the best cops, you know, nationwide. He's amazing, an excellent cop. He's good with words. He's professional, and he never fucks up. And so I started writing with these guys, man, and it instantly got better. Like, they became my best friends, and it was cool because, like, now I'm like friends with the coolest guys in the school, and we're starting to, and it got better, and we just started taking down cases, and life was going really, really good. And, you know, I learned so much for those guys. And then I ended up having a rookie of my own one day. And, but like these small little funny details come up, but to get to where the book comes in at the time.
Hold on.
All right.
How did you treat your rookie?
It's in the book. And,
well,
I treated him very well.
Okay.
I gave him very well.
Different than the rookie treatment you got.
Well, his first night, his first shift, his first 1 hour, less than 1 hour, his first 20 minutes, foot chase, gun, stolen gun, guys wanted for murder, and a use of force in his first 20 minutes. One person, one case.
Did you help him during that time?
100%.
Okay, good.
100%. And he was a lieutenant. Yeah. And I think he was like the honor grad of the academy. I'm not quite sure, but I knew he did really well in the academy. And that's part of the joke that's in the book. And he's a detective now. And he actually just got this book like 3 days ago. And he's on the SWAT. He just made the SWAT team like a week ago. And so he went from detective to SWAT. And the SWAT team, has a joke, because he has a copy of the book, they made him read his chapter. And, you know, I'm really good friends with all the SWAT guys now. And my best friend, who you should have on the show, like, he's been at a shooting, but he's an incredible cop too. Very interesting character. I don't know if he'd ever come on a Pie's into social media or anything, but
it can be tough for them while they're still active.
He's not anymore. Okay. He's out now. But that
makes it a touch easier.
He's got an incredible story. Matter of fact, the guy he killed, Deion Sanders, wore on his Hall of Fame tie during his induction to the Hall of Fame. But the guy was a complete piece of shit.
Okay, I was going to hold it. So the man that was killed, Deion Sanders, wore on his tie.
Yes.
Okay.
During the Black Lives Matter stuff.
Okay.
But this guy was like multiple time felon, and my buddy shot him in the gun first, and then walked the rounds up, killing him. But like, it was a fight within. But he's a big CrossFit champion, purple belt jiu-jitsu guy. You know, competed at Worlds. Really great human being, and just gets in this insanely. You know, it's a great story. It's in the book too. But so they make him read the story, and it was really cool because they said, like, you know, is that how you portrayed your rookie time with Tansey? And he said, it really was. And so the guys at the jiu-jitsu gym, because most of the guys that are on that SWAT team train at the jiu-jitsu gym, I did. And he said, dude, low-key, we thought there's no way you wrote a good book. And he's like, we actually, like, now we're all reading a chapter, like, in our roll call. Like, we end up rolling like 2 chapters we've already read out loud to the team. And he's like, dude, it's actually really good. And that was funny because, and if I have time to tell you about how I got the book, that would be a fun story.
Well, and I do want to talk about the book because I ask every author this, just out of curiosity. What was the route you took to write it? Like, your method. Right. Some people have a full architecture, what they wanted to, and I only ask out of personal curiosity because I, shockingly enough, was legitimately tricked into writing one.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the way that I did it, which was a living Word document. Did you do it? Did you find it hard? Did you do it?
Well, no. I mean, so the way the book came about was I wrote a homicide report as a supplement, and the supplement ended up being a much bigger deal in the trial than I thought it was. And so
explain. So what a homicide report with the supplement, what does that mean?
Okay, so you go to a murder, which I've worked a lot of murders. In my district, somebody got stabbed or shot every night.
Yep.
Not they didn't die every night, but like every night.
It was not an uncommon occurrence.
Every night I worked I had blood on my uniform just about every single night. And I, at that time, was a terrible report writer, but it didn't matter because my reports were always usually supplements because I was usually like working with other guys and they would write the main report and then I would just be like, I was there, I did this, evidence got put into this, and it's really short. Whereas
like amplifying information, perhaps?
Yeah, so like if you were the main guy on the report, you would say like...
I own the report.
Yeah, like on July 18th, 2025 at 1500, we were patrolling the 300 block of East Lenore Street when we came across 3 gang members that were wearing this. It's like really long and detailed. And then what I will do is say like, on July 25th, 2018, I was with Andy Stumpf. We encountered this gang member. Okay. I placed cuffs on him during the arrest. Please see report for details.
Okay, and so it can add other people or attach people to the
and it's just attached to the report. And it's just, so it's like not everybody's writing the same long fucking thing. Unless there's a big use of force, then everybody is.
Okay.
Because everybody's got to write their perspective of the force. But, and just generally, it's a supplement. So a murder happens, and a detective or like the lead cop that is working the homicide is going to write all the shit. But maybe you were just the crime scene reporter, which just means like you're letting people in the crime scene tape and out. So your supplement might look like Andy Stumpf came into the crime scene at 4:30 p.m. Austin von Leckman came in at 5:30. Andy Stumpf left at 6:30.
Gotcha.
Blah, blah, blah. So that kind of that way. And I don't remember what the supplement really was that I wrote. I figured it was pretty insignificant at the time, but the homicide went to trial and the jury got a copy of it, and it was so horrendous. Like the wording was terrible, like punctuation was bad, didn't know there, and there. And so like people were really upset. They were like, this is super unprofessional. This is like the worst supplement. Who's your supervisor? Who didn't check this? And the supervisor, like, they usually do a great job, but since this one had so many supplements, probably just saw that mine was super short and was like, he fucked up. He didn't, and so this kind of sergeant was like, look, what you're going to do is you're going to go home and you're going to practice writing. I don't care what you write, but like, you need to like, oh no, at this time, they just shamed the shit out of me. So the funnier part of the story is they shamed me for a little bit for being such a bad writer, tell me it's a big deal and I got to fix it. So I start emailing my wife reports and having her edit them. She sends them back. 6 months go by.
Is that legal?
No. Didn't know it at the time. Didn't care. 6 months later, the detective's like, yo, Tansey, what up, dude? They're like, yo, did you start taking writing classes after that fucking homicide report?
Kind of.
And I was like, what I do is I just I write the report and then I send it to my wife and then like she helps me edit it.
Did they just
And he was
go
like,
white?
yeah, right, dude. Seriously. What are you doing? Like weight tech or something? And I was like, no, I emailed it to my wife. And he's like, bro, what? No, you're joking. And I was like,
it turned from ha-ha to real serious real fast.
Like, dude, why did you tell me that? Like, what the fuck? So then it goes before
now he's in trouble.
Yo, dude. So we had to go, like, the DAs were like trying to get involved. And they're like, well, which reports did you have her edit? And I was
just
like,
all of them since
yes.
this date.
And they're like, yeah. They're like, how long? I'm like, months. And they're like, how many? I'm like, hundreds. So then they had to go figure out like which ones were going to try. It was a big deal. It was a lot bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. And now I'm in like kind of the hot water. I get away with it. With like a verbal, like, don't you ever do this again. And we're gonna make him write. We're gonna give him like writing exercises and shit. So now I gotta go home and write. So I live these traumatic incidents at work, foot chases, weekly, punching people, getting kicked. I broke my leg fighting a guy once. I had my teeth shattered in the back of my mouth and break my arm fighting another guy. I mean, a lot of really crazy
job.
fights. A lot. I mean, my nose gets busted a few times, and there's tons of them in the book. But so I write the report to these traumatic incidents, and then I got to go home and I got to fucking write it again. And then it was like, dude, after like a year of doing this or 2 years of doing this, at this point, like I'm on night shift. It's pretty depressing. And I'm starting to drink more and more. I'm enjoying writing. I love it. I fall in love with writing. Like it becomes like a jiu-jitsu for me. I want to get better. You know what I mean? So I'm writing every night. I'm working with people to edit these things, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it 2 years in. I'm writing almost every night. And but I was like, I was starting to get into a pretty bad place where I was just like, this isn't healthy. Like this sucks. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start writing the funny shit that happens at work. And so I started writing funny stories and some of the funnier stuff. And anyway, I become Officer of the Year from an incident in the book where, again, another crazy story, but become Officer of the Year, completely unexpected. It's kind of a joke. I don't want to be Officer of the Year. I didn't want an award for what I did. I still think I was a wrong person to give the award to, but the department really wanted to make a big deal out of it. And so they give me all these awards, and I go to all these award ceremonies all over the state. Like, they're parading me around. And I didn't wear my uniform to the Officer of the Year thing.
Why?
Or to the thing. Again, the authority, like, fuck you, I didn't want this, you're making me have it. I was the only officer that didn't give a speech either. They gave me my award, and I didn't stay for the picture. I got the award and walked away from the podium. It's kind of like my fuck you to them.
That's a rough look if you're a member of a team, man. Today's episode is brought to you by Element. Sometimes you see it as LMNT, and you can say that if you want to, or you can just say Element. I've talked about this brand quite a bit. It is an electrolyte drink. Now, when you order it, it's going to come in one of two ways. These are the boxes right here. This is their watermelon flavor. If you pop this bad boy open, it comes in these very, very convenient little satchels. And this is what I load up in 1 gallon Ziploc bags when I head to places like Origin Camp or Costa Rica. Per packet, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. Now, another way that you can get this is in their sparkling water. This stuff was a surprise for me. I didn't know I was going to enjoy it. I'm not a huge fan of carbonated beverages, but it's really good. Pour this thing over ice, and oftentimes I cut it with a little bit of water. But you get exactly the same thing, 1,260 of sodium, potassium, and magnesium, respectively. Variety of flavors in this beverage, and a variety of flavors as well when it comes to the powdered form. For this summer, they have lemonade, and it is by far my favorite flavor. It's actually the only thing I just took to Origin Camp, and it's a minimum 1 a day when I'm training. When we're in Costa Rica, it's a minimum 2, and the difference in your body, I mean, I could read all of the things scientifically, the electrolyte balance, all of that stuff. It's the difference between me feeling like dragging ass after a day of training and feeling at least a little bit like a human being again. I feel it in the ability to think. I feel it in my ability to move, my ability to recover, all of those things. When I don't have some after I train hard, when I'm sweating my ass off, man, I just feel like a sack of assholes for the remainder of the day. If you head over to drinklmnt.com/clearedhot, you're going to get a free sample pack. And this is the best way to explore any new brand. Figure out what flavors you like. I actually like all of them. It would be really tough for me to actually rank them from top to bottom because they all really taste good. They also have seasonal flavors. So in the wintertime, there's a chocolate mix. There's a spicy selection that they have as well, which is great for cocktails and margaritas if that's your thing. But maybe you don't know what you want. Again, drinklmnt.com/clearedhot, and it'll give you the chance to get that free sample pack. If you don't like the product, send it back. They have a 100% refund guarantee for any reasons. No question for any reasons. Any reason, unless there would be plural, and then it would be reasons. No questions asked. I'm very fortunate to know the co-founder, Rob. I've been friends with Rob for 2 decades at this point. Training partners with him for quite some time. That's how I got exposed to this. And I can't say it enough. The difference in recovery for me, ability to think, ability to move, ability to maintain my functional, situational just ability after a day of hard training, it is a game changer. drinklmnt.com/clearedhot. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed. Back to the show.
Yeah, probably. I didn't think I deserved. I thought. Well, no, I don't. I don't think that. They did it for the wrong reason. They politicized an event that did not need to be. It was this. Well, the story is that there was a deaf girl, and I'm the only person that knew sign language. And that's a funny story how I learned sign language, but I had to do it in school, and I learned quite a bit and then Billy Graham came to town. And there was an opportunity to get paid to do and be an interpreter in high school. It was like $50, and you had to memorize a paragraph, and then you would get on this podium and sign, and then swap out. And so it was like a 3-month train up for that. So I was pretty proficient in sign language 20 years ago, and but I wrote that on my application that the foreign language I put American Sign Language because
but that's fair though.
That's fair. I could do it.
Yeah.
So there's a deaf girl on a bridge going to jump, and the only person that knows sign language anywhere is me. And so they call me, and now I have to go work with, I show up to this bridge, it's cleared, and the hostage negotiator is like, we can't get anywhere near. She's like, she was hanging off the bridge like this.
Like on the other side of the railing?
Yeah. But like ass off of the railing, like barely holding on. And they're like, dude, like she's going to go any second. So like, sign language, good luck. Like do what you can. And I was like, do what I can. Like, you don't got any other words? And he's like, this guy has no idea who I am. He just knows that I'm the guy that shows up in his sign language. And I go, that's it? That's all your advice? You're a hostage negotiator and you're just like, good luck? And he goes, Tansey, you're one of the best cops I know. I've heard so many great things about you and you're the right man for this job and I totally believe in you. Is that better? And I was like, fuck you, dude. And I walk out onto this bridge and it was bad. Like she tried to sign to me because I started signing to her very quickly because she was inching as I was walking out. So I'm trying to sign as quickly as I can.
That's going to be tough for her to do and maintain a grip.
Yes. So she goes to try and she loses her grip and almost falls. And like, that's when it really got real. Like I wanted to throw up. Dude, it was like, I was like, holy fuck, this is real shit. Like, oh my God. And like the highway is stopped. There's now a helicopter flying over and I'm the only one out there. And I'm like, dude, if she jumps, like I'm fucked. Like not by the department, I'm fucked because I fucked up, And so it became very, very scary. And it ended up like in the book, it ends up getting to a point where I just tell her, like, I basically just get really honest with her really quick. And I was like, look, stop. I'm dumb. I don't know how to do this. You're signing way too fast. Can we write on a piece of paper? But like, I fucking need you not to jump. Of course I didn't cuss, but like, I'm like, I need you to like, not do this for me. Like, please help me. And so she was like, go ahead, write it. So I write this whole like note. And I was very honest. I said like, look, I'm not good at this. I'm not a hostage negotiator. I don't know you. I'm not that great at sign language, blah, 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 blah. And I throw it to her and she like looks at it. And I put at the end, I was like, if you jump, this will ruin my life. And I know that your life sucks, but like, please don't do this for me. And so she ends up coming off the bridge and we end up having this like great conversation. She goes really slow. And by the end of it, it was a really great moment for her and I. But she was in that moment because she was deaf and she lived at a deaf school away from her family, which her mother was an enormous piece of work, crackhead. We'd been over to the house for her hearing kids, knocking on other doors, asking for food. She was a very mean lady. The dad, I think, was already in prison. But she gets moved back to this house because when they're teenagers, they can't live at the deaf school anymore. They have to go integrate into regular public school because they don't do teenagers on campus at this school. And I guess it was like probably in Charlotte or something. But now she's like back at home and nobody in the family speaks sign language. So she has no way of communicating. She doesn't want to wear a cochlear implant because it makes her look ugly. So she was on the phone texting boys, but like she was lying to them, saying that she's beautiful, she had a fake profile and all this other stuff. And knowing that she could never meet them because they would find out that she's deaf or whatever. And the mom took the phone away, which was her only form of communication for anything. Matter of fact, fast forward, I asked the mom why she doesn't know sign language. And she looked me dead in the face and she said, I have 3 hearing kids. I don't need to waste my time learning sign language for the one that can't hear. That was her words to me. Later, I would find out that she was later I would go to a call on a felony for a pedophile. And she would have been in the room watching Nick at Night in her panties with this 39-year-old pedophile that her mom was probably working on. But anyway, at this moment, she's going to jump off of the bridge, and we get her off of the bridge, and it was the worst moment of her life. And I had her friend come up, and the story is actually really funny from that point forward. But this was the worst day of her life, and she was more concerned about being embarrassed. And the reason why she wanted to jump was because she could not go back to school if she didn't jump. She was like, listen, I have to jump. Like, I can't go back to school not having jumped. And I was like, no, that's like that's the wrong answer. Like, I promise we'll get through this. Like, I'm going to, blah, blah, blah. Well, now the police department wants to tell that story. And so they want me to do a press conference. I refuse. They want me to give my name to the press. I refuse. The PR person from the department calls me. I've never met these people before in my life. And he's like, hey man, like, we really want to tell this story. It's already viral. And you can Google it. It is viral. But I was, there's videos of me doing this. And I said, no, I'm not going to give you my name. And it would be better if you didn't run the story. Like, this is like the one thing she doesn't want is if you really care about somebody, then put away the ratings, put away how good this looks for the department, and let this die. Like, she needs this to go away. Please don't do this to her. And he was like, okay, we'll do what you can. They run the story. They put it all over the fucking news because that's what they're going to do. And I'm fine with that. Whatever. I know I'm not going to stop that. But now they want to make me Officer of the Year and parade me around the state and tell the story over and over and over again Like, you know, and at the time I was like, I asked you guys to make this go away, and now you're perpetuating this story, because when they make you officer of the year, they put out the whole blurb to the newspaper of what happened. You know what I mean? Where it happened and how it happened. And so it's like, this bitch can never, I shouldn't say that, but like this victim is now having to, you know, see this shit pop up in the newspaper 5 months after it already happened. And it just keeps going on. And I just thought that was disgusting. And especially after, there you go. Yeah, that's it. That's me on the bridge. Like, probably one of the craziest days of my life. Yeah, so I was really bitter. I was really upset about that. And that would be the beginning of the end for me.
I understand the bitterness, and I understand being upset. I understand the potential of re-traumatizing her. Or she could actually, depending on how, hopefully she was able to talk with somebody in whatever mean or mode that she was able to communicate. There's also another way to look at it, and she could really develop a lot of resilience by having to face that from time to time. So I'm gonna put this through the lens, since we both do jiu-jitsu. You're a 4-stripe white belt, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Your jiu-jitsu is great. Should you get to go to your instructor and say, "I am ready for my blue belt"?
No.
Then, using that same analogy, right? It is your leadership's role to determine for you when you are ready for your belt. Should you be able to turn that belt down?
No.
Okay. Apply that same analogy to the award that you received.
The police department is extremely political, and those people that have climbed the political ladder aren't real cops.
Doesn't matter.
And they don't understand the impact that they're having on the community. And I write a lot about that in this book. Like, they do more to keep the hood than they do to try to help the hood. And that's why we're having a lot of the culture wars.
Two things can be true at once. What I'm trying to say is, like, you don't have to diminish your actions that day because an entity outside of your control tried to do something about it. Like, it's tough to sit here and listen to you say, like, I'm the only guy who didn't give a speech and didn't wear a uniform because I didn't deserve this award. But the reality is, you don't get to choose that. You did the best you could in the moment, and that's all you can do.
The more to the story is that I asked specifically not make me go to this.
Yeah, try that with your blue belt.
And they made me go.
Yeah, try that.
And so I was like, well, if you're going to make me go, then I'm just going to take the award and walk right back to my seat. And I'm going to not be in my uniform.
Show up for your blue belt in shorts and a T-shirt. Take the same analogy, see what happens. They're going to beat your ass.
Yeah, for sure. But I have respect for my choice. I didn't respect those people.
You don't have to respect them.
And I didn't want them to get clout for
you're focusing.
And it's even hard for me to talk about it now because, like, I feel like I'm the story happened long enough ago. No, I guess no.
You could control your actions. You saved a woman's life. You can't handle. You can't control anything that happens downstream of that or actually upstream of that.
I think a big part of it too is that the guys I worked with, Bruno, Sirius, Ralph, they all deserve to be Officer of the Year at some point. They'll never get. They don't make Southeast District Cops Officer of the Year because they're Southeast District Cops, which just sucks. Same with life saving awards. Like, every Southeast Raleigh cop has saved a life, but they don't get the life saving award because
that's not your choice.
Well, yeah, but when you're on a team like that, the team did respect it. The team was like, you know.
Have you ever considered they respected it because it was actually deserved?
No, they respected the fact that I didn't take it. I think they know that it probably wasn't deserved. They knew it was a political move. I didn't really get Officer of the Year. I didn't have a great year. I didn't have a great year to deserve this. I had one incident, which every cop has in the Southeast District, multiple times.
Do you think every officer that got it before or after you had a stellar year that never made a single mistake?
Sirius did.
Oh, really?
Multiple.
You think Sirius never had a down day, never fucked up?
Not as many as I did.
Why do you constantly compare yourself to others?
I don't. It's just that there are people who deserve their belt, and there are people who don't deserve their belt, and that's okay.
And guess what?
And that would be
not
shitty
that
too.
person that gives them the belt. It's their coach.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And as a participant in the sport, what I'll say is this: be cautious saying there are people that deserve their belt and those that don't, because it's not your call to give it to.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, like, everybody's better than me at my gym, so it's like, and like, because we're next to a NC State, so like, everybody's wrestlers are way younger.
God,
they're great.
You to the wood chipper.
They're so good. So, like, there's definitely nobody at my gym that doesn't deserve it. But, like, you know,
but my point is, it's the coach that gives it to him.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the coach will see something that you don't see, because it's not your job to be the coach.
Yeah.
It's And again, like it's obviously there's no time machine in going back, but
yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like I'm a lot more mature now. You know, now I'm 41 with 5 kids.
Yeah.
You know, these are when I was 28. 29. Yeah, and there's a lot, and I matured a lot slower than a lot of people, and I, you know, and that's one of the things that, you know, I live with that. I don't use it as an excuse or anything, but my growth in life, I would like to explain it like if there is a linear line, everybody starts at this line, and then they climb. Their ladder to success is like this. Well, I start here.
Where are you getting this data from?
Years of being terrible in school, not being able to
so
make
you have a
good
data
grades.
point of 1, but you're trying to define everybody else's ladder to
And
success.
all the failures, right? Like failing small unit tactics and feeling like you're really bad there. Failing
it's not linear.
You know, you think in your brain that, well, I had convinced myself, and the funny thing is I had a conversation with Nick recently that now I get it. Like now I understand. But back then I didn't. I finally figured out, like, not life, but I when I held this for my first time, this hard book, so many things changed for me. Especially like with my kids, and my kids are incredible, and I'm a great father and a great husband. And when I held this book, I realized, like, oh my God, like none of that shit mattered, because
it all mattered. It
because
makes you
like
who you are.
now I am where I need to be, and I'm succeeding at that as a husband and a father. So nothing else really matters to me right now.
Or you could look at it as you had to go through those things to make you the man, husband, and father you are.
Exactly. And I'm appreciative for all these things. But the point still remains that I felt in those moments, and I started down here, but I was able to learn like this. And so I started out as the worst rookie.
Yeah.
And then I became a great training officer, I think, to multiple rookies. And you'll see in the book where I got to do a lot of really great things because I became a really good cop. I became a good cop, but it was a long road of fucking shit up. And I was harder on myself back then. See, I don't think I could have done jiu-jitsu back then because I would overthink it. I would have felt like it would just been too much of a failure. Like it would have mattered to me too much that I wasn't getting better, or that I would have perceived myself as not getting better, and it wouldn't have worked for me. It's like now, like so I'm saying, like now that I'm 41, my maturity level is like, it really is like, I just don't care. Like I'm gonna go and do my best, and that's okay. Like I walked on a run for the first time in 41 years. I have never started a run that I ever walked on. Never done. I will run until I fucking die before I walk. I went running. I did like 6 miles at like 2 p.m. because it's the only time I could fit my run in, and my brain was cooking. And I said, no. He's like, you got away from 5. Like who cares? Who fucking cares? You will die here if you keep going. Like
Goggins
this sucks.
Cares.
I'm fucking gonna walk.
You got to stay hard.
And I don't care. I walk. And I was like, oh, yeah, I feel fine. Like I'm good because like I'm at the point in my life where it's like I get it now. I get it, and it's a lot to this book, and it was a very fun journey. And I think so when the stories got compiled, I ended up leaving law enforcement because I opened up a distillery. I got my sommelier certification. I broke my leg, and I was out for like 5 months.
Master sommelier?
No, fuck no. I thought I was going to, but
Bush.
I was like, not
I
doing
love that series, Somm.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah. That I did. So I started my sommelier like before that documentary, but I got my certified specialist in wine, which is like a level 2 somm, I guess, if you were to.
Yeah.
It was my certified specialist in wine was harder than my level 1 somm, the beginner level somm. Both of them were difficult. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, that program is insane.
It's nuts, but it's so fun.
I was fascinated by that process.
It's
the blind tastings and people being able to just pull these obscure vintage.
But that's why I got into it.
Yeah,
like I got into it way before that thing. But like I remember, like when I got into it, I remember just being like, "Wait, this is crazy. Like there's no end." What's when you think you know something about it?
Oh, for
you
sure.
You know nothing about it. So when I broke my leg, I was high on codeine. That's what I call codeine. And my wife went out and she was like, look, I'm going out to the grocery store and I need you to like do something other than just sit here and watch porn and take fucking pain meds. And I was like, message received.
So just heavy on the porn. We'll
back over the back. I said, I'm gonna sign up for the certified specialist in wine course. And she was like, no, honey, that's very ambitious of you, but like, it's not just something that's not something you just start and then like you're only out for 5 months.
Background.
You're only for like 5 months. You're gonna be fine. Like you're gonna go back to work and this is all gonna go away. Like you're good because I was going nuts. Like laid up with this shattered leg because I got 12 screws, 2 pins of plate, and a rod in my leg, and my knee got all fucked up in the incident and everything. Fighting a murder suspect, which got him though. got him. But he did beat the brakes off of all of us. My partner read in the book, she got her neck cut open, slit real bad. And my other partner broke his arm on this guy. This guy was just a bull. I mean, he just did 14 years in prison, got out and went and tried to murder the same chick he tried to murder that landed in the 14 years.
Nobody likes an
and he wasn't going back. He wasn't going. Yeah, exactly.
No one likes a
But he
quitter.
fucked it up. He didn't even kill her.
I'm not saying they're smart. I'm glad that he did.
He about did. He bludgeoned her, but damn near. Then he jumped off the balcony at the jail, and that was the end of that.
Interesting. You took that path out, huh?
Yeah. Maxwell Mitchell. You can look him up and put him on there. It's a good picture to always share. But
we do, Michael. We don't need to look him up. I think we can skip that one.
Don't look him up.
Let's not highlight pieces of shit.
Yeah, don't highlight him. But anyways, yes. But so she leaves. She's like, I'm going to get you a wine book, and we'll just leave it at that, you know? So she leaves. I'm like, nah, fuck that. Like, I'm signing up for this bitch. So I spent like $1,200. You know? Like, I put like $500 to take the test, another $250 to do the Gallo Wine Academy, and then I get the $250 fucking workbook and, you know, a couple other books. So I think at the end of the day it was like maybe $1,100 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so she comes home and she's like, I got a surprise for you. You know, it's like a wine book. It was called Wine and War. Great book, by the way. Really short, easy read, but fascinating book about wine and war. Really cool book. And so I was like, hey, well, I got a surprise too. I spent $1,100 and I'm going to do this wine test. She was like, no, please. And so I was like, I promise you I'll pass this test. Like, I promise you. And so, yeah, I spent like a year and a half, 2 years studying, and I volunteered for every homicide scene, every suicide scene. It got to the point that I was sitting on all these scenes so much that a detective was like, yo, dude, what's up with you? And I was like, why, what's up? And he's like, why? Do you just like love dead people or something? He's like, why do you always volunteer to sit on these scenes? And I was like, well, because I don't have to take any calls and they're not going to fucking go anywhere because they're dead and you guys are doing all the work and I can study my wine shit. And I would sit there and study all night long, man. I would just sit next to some headless dude or, you know, some poor suicide thing. And so when I took the test, it was really funny because I would be taking the test and it would be like, you know, what is the leading red wine grape of, you know, such and such Greece, you know? And I would be like, Greece. I was like, all right, that was Corey Street, you know, dead guy, blah, 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 half a brain, hanging out, like doing a lot of twitching. Muscafalero, got it. You know, and it was
however your brain Rolodexes information, you might as well lean into it.
I didn't know it was going to Rolodex like that. It just so happened when I was taking the test that's how I was able to Rolodex. It worked out in my favor. But yeah, I took the test and I passed and I started teaching wine classes. I felt convicted that I was teaching a lot of wine classes and I became a wine buyer for a lot of wine shops. And then I got into rating and reviewing, and some like Aldi and Lidl was new to the United States, and they were sending me cases of wine to write and review for them.
That sounds dangerous.
Professionally, it was great.
We'll just take a sip and sample it. Like,
it's like, send me another case. You know,
I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I would like a second and third opinion.
Yep. And so I just started teaching these classes, and I felt convicted. Like, I'm writing these reviews on these people's hard work that I've never done. Like, who am I to tell like some winemaker, you know, that worked his ass off, like that he's a bad winemaker, you know, if I've never done it myself. So I really wanted to get in there, and I met a lawyer, and my buddy was a combat controller, tier 1 combat controller at the time. He just retired, doesn't have social media or anything like that, but a great guy. And he and I were on this wine journey together and really close friends. We're still to this day, we're really, really close friends. And I got with him and this lawyer and was like, dude, let's open up something. Mm-hmm. So we thought, you know, winery was too expensive. None of us had that kind of money. So we opened up a distillery and we made rum. And then the department found out that they knew it took me 2 years to build the distillery. I had to get all the permits. It takes forever. And our building was built in like 1890 something.
That could be cool.
And it was really, but it took a lot of work to, gut it out and do all this stuff. So, I mean, it was a lot. And my sergeants and captains, everybody was helping me do it. It was a great team effort, and Sirius did all the landscaping for it. It was a big, some of the detectives built the bar for me. It was a great team effort. It was incredible. And just so thankful for those guys. And in the department, the city manager of Raleigh, and not really the department, but the city manager, felt that it was unbecoming of an officer to own a distillery.
Why do they care?
The values of a distillery owner do not coincide with the values. And it was in a different county.
Business.
So it was a different county.
Yeah.
And the way the ABC laws in North Carolina are I wouldn't have sold it or distributed it. The state does that.
Yeah.
So really, I'm just a manufacturer of spirits legally. They had a problem with it. And
that's a weird one to me.
Yeah, it was...
Huh.
And so, yeah, it was a weird one to everybody. And it made national news, which is the next part of that story, because that's how I got into podcasting. Because Drinking Bros, Ross Patterson, this was the 2018, 2019, maybe something like that.
Yeah, earlier on, yeah.
And they were like, hey, we just saw on the news that there's this officer that was officer of the year and fired the same year for opening up a distillery. Is that true? And
so that's what they fired you for, was the distillery?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm becoming of an officer, yeah. And insubordination, because I would not, I would refuse to stop going to my own distillery.
Oh, that's a shock. Well, you do so good with authority.
But, that was the best part, though, because everybody was like, even my sergeants were like, dude, fuck these people. Like, you're fine.
I mean, you weren't going there in your patrol car, right?
No, it's a different county.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and nobody even knew it until well,
what kind of shifts did you guys work? Like a couple on, couple off?
Yeah, it's 12-hour shifts. So Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You could go to the distillery in your off days.
You only work 14 days a month.
Why do they care?
They should not have cared. I mean, and a city councilman in Raleigh owned a brewery at the time. So it's like a councilman can own a brewery in the city of Raleigh, but a cop can't own a distillery in another county.
Was it in their doctrine anywhere?
It said you could not sell or distribute alcohol. But in the state of North Carolina, which I get, right? Because I don't want to sell you alcohol and then have my friend give you a DUI. You know what I mean? I could see that.
That is an interesting business model.
I could see it, right. So, but in a different county, and the state sells and distributes. So I wouldn't have any, and I couldn't sell to a 19-year-old versus a 21-year-old, which was another thing. Because the state sells it. It's a state-controlled ABC board. You don't have that here in Montana. No. But in the state of North Carolina, they're state employees. They work for the state. They don't know anything about liquor. That's just their job. And they're not even allowed to help you.
Man, that's wild.
It's a state ran. It's called the Alcohol Beverage Commission.
Yeah.
But they handle all the distribution. They handle all the sales of the liquor. So all I had to do was manufacture it. But they didn't want to do it, and so it was great though, because it was the first time that I really, when I went to internal affairs, I went in there with an open hand of kindness, and he started out and I never met this internal affairs person either ever in my life, and he started out the conversation with, what were you told on March and which was 2 days prior to me coming in there, which was not to go back to that distillery, and that I had an IA investigation pending for unbecoming of an officer, and so I could not go back to my distillery until the IA thing was complete. And I was like, that's not gonna fucking happen, because I just opened up the business. And
do they even have the authority to restrict you from doing that?
They thought they did.
I mean, their authority would derive from their ability to eject you from the job. But
yeah. So
last I checked, you weren't on duty or shift. That'd be weird. Be like, no, how dare you eat pancakes for breakfast? Yeah. You need to eat what we no, dude. I'm not on duty.
I mean, but the police department has a really good way of trying to control your life. Really, they do a great. They'll force you to work off duty. They'll be like, we didn't have enough off duty people, so you got to work off duty. And you're like, fuck, I don't want to go work a concert. Well, we don't have enough people. Go work it.
Aspect of being voluntold.
Yeah, and it's you're not insured the same way. I mean, it's just they have a way of doing things. So when he did the knife hand, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna play this whole game, and so I was a real asshole after that, and it was great. I had a lot of fun being an asshole. I got to play that out, and they fired me. I mean, they gave me an opportunity to resign. I said, no, fire me. I want to do this. I've never been fired before. Let's go. Fire me. And it was a unique journey. And then I got fired, and I owned the distillery, and then I got to have the podcast with the Drinking Bros, and I came on there and I told funny cop stories, really, that I had written, but I didn't know, I didn't tell anybody I had written cop stories, but and they were like, dude, you're hilarious. And they were like, would you ever want a podcast for a living? And I was like, not really. I don't know anything about it. 4 months later, they called me and had me fly to Austin, and they gave me a job doing a Tailgate Legend show, which I don't know anything about sports, and that was fun. And then COVID hit, and that kind of took the wind out of those sails, but they got with Mike the Cop, who was a big cop influencer at the time, and we did a show called Failure to Stop. It was right after George Floyd, and it was a police breakdown, and we hit it off huge. Mike the Cop, and the show went bonkers. It was great, had big numbers. And then YouTube demonetized us 2 weeks before that election, and whatever, that was the first Biden-Trump one.
Did they give you any indication that they were about to do that, like community strikes or anything?
Nope.
It was just you wake up, you're like, hey.
Yeah, 2 weeks before the election, they were just like, and it was just a pro cop. We weren't political. Man. It was a pro cop, but and that was so big for Mike the Cop that he never went back. He got rid of his social media. He sold his YouTube channel. He became a preacher. He was done. He'd been done fighting YouTube forever. But it was a huge chunk of change, and so I went back down to ground zero. So when I opened up my distillery, COVID hit. I'd emptied out my 401k. Lee, my combat controller guy who was supposed to be getting out and helping me with the distillery gets deployed to Syria, which I think is when Brent Tucker got shot, if I'm not mistaken, on that rotation.
Who knows?
Because he was there with Brent when Brent got shot. And that's kind of how I know Brent. Brent and I've talked about it. And then I ended up working with Brent for a little bit too. Very short period of time, but it was fun. He's a good person, I think. And so we end up, so he gets deployed to Syria, which sucks. And then he gets moved on to Florida because he wouldn't get the vaccine. They were going to process him out. And I think he was at an E8 at the time or E7. So it was like a congressional thing at that point because he was high enough rank. And that was a big deal, but he never did. He never got the COVID vaccine. But they moved him to Florida as kind of a punishment, made him the commandant of the dive school down there. So I didn't have him helping me. And then the lawyer had a massive stroke and was like out for 6 months to a year. Or he was out for 6 months. And then after that, he was still not, because he was elderly.
I was going to say, you're lucky it was, a massive stroke. You're lucky if it was not more than multiple years.
Yeah, he was on life support for months, and he had to learn how to talk. Yeah,
that's
walk,
no joke.
And it was bad. And so like now I'm stuck just doing everything, which is fine. But now I was working 17, 18-hour days. My wife's pregnant with our then fourth child. I'm not getting unemployment because I couldn't get unemployment from the department because I was fired. Also, I never took in a sick day at that point. Like I had all these sick days, so I had none. They wouldn't let me. They don't pay that out when you get fired. So then I had vacation days, but I had been burning, or I guess it was vice versa. I had all these, either way I couldn't get paid. They didn't pay me for the sick. You got your vacation, but you didn't get the sick. So, because every time I wanted to take a day off, I would burn vacation and not sick. So I didn't have any vacation, but I had like 300 or 400 hours of sick, but they didn't give them to me because I got fired. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that you lose it. Should have known it. Didn't, because again, not the brightest person, not the most best business person. Like I don't read between the lines very well. So anyway, so now we're broke, and I'm running this distillery. COVID hits, everything is shutting down. I've got all this money, all this, 1,000 pounds of jaggery and yeast and all this stuff, and no way of none of the bars are open, and that was terrible. So now I have no money, none. About to lose my house, 4 months behind on the payment. I've gone from never being late on a payment ever for anything, paying everything on time, my whole life, to now I'm going to lose my house because I'm 4 months behind. Luckily, the government did that. They pushed it out.
Yes.
So that saves us by the skin of our teeth. My wife is extremely scared and unhappy, pregnant with our fourth child. It's just like sucks. We homeschool, home birth, do all this shit. That Christmas, we end up having to take back we bought a Christmas dinner. I get hit with a wastewater allocation fee from the city. I have to take back gifts and all this stuff to pay this wastewater allocation fee because I couldn't get a hold of my business partner because he's got the stroke thing, so I couldn't get any money from him. So it was all on me, which I'm not complaining about. I totally understand that. So now we have to go garage sailing 2 weeks before Christmas to buy gifts. We end up having spaghetti and meatballs. Couldn't do steak or anything because we just had no money. And it was awful. And then I get this dream opportunity randomly from the Drinking Bros to come work for them. And they offer me enough money that I'm able to get all my payments back on track and get caught up. Luckily, my mortgage was like $700 a month. I have 3 acres and a 1,400 square foot house, And so then, that's great. And then, it's a year of doing pretty good. Everything's going great. Babies are healthy. Everything's great. And then we lose that YouTube channel. And I go back down to square zero. What am I going to do for a job? The distillery is like really kicking my ass because we never really could catch up after COVID. And it was just really rough, man. And then I was still writing because I would watch the stills for 10 hours and write and watch the stills. And it just through some weird friend person that knew Nick Palmisano, I had told this guy that I wrote a comedy, and my wife read it, and she said it was the funniest thing she'd ever read. And my wife reads 3 or 4 books a week. She's obsessed with reading. Her degree is in French Francophonics, which is interpreting French books into English.
Oh, wow. And
that's what she loves. She doesn't do social media. She doesn't do a phone. Her phone's gone 3 days before she'll turn it back on. But she's just a very, very quiet, and she reads constantly. And so she thought it was great, and she was like, "You should try to get this in front of somebody." So Nick Palmisano was like, "I'll give you 5 paragraphs." And I was like, "Man, that would be great. Thank you." And he called me back 3 days later, and he was like, I've given you 5 chapters and then I made my wife read it. And he was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever read. Like, what are you doing with this book? And I said, I don't know. Nothing. I'm just seeing if it was any good for you. And he's like, man, I really think you have something here. Like, let's work on this. And it was great. He helped me restructure some of the chapters, like help me polish it up, make it make sense. And the good thing about my book is that there's a police report for every story. So it's like, and I wrote them in the moment, not thinking they would ever read a book. So there's no.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say some people write books that have other than documented backstories?
Yeah. Yeah. What I'd say is like,
interesting.
When you read this book, you might be like, that's not true. It's 100% true. It's really true.
Who'd you publish through?
Simon Schuster.
Okay, sweet.
And it was a great opportunity, and they offered me quite a bit of money, which saved my family. And made life a lot easier.
Advances are a bastard though, because it stands for advance on future sales.
I mean, they paid me more. They paid me a lot of money. Like,
no, I'm saying it's great. So that means the investment, like the risk is more on their side.
Yes.
I'm sure it'll do fantastic, but if it doesn't, your check's good.
Yeah. And then another opportunity came up when I'm working with Tyler Gray and AJ Buckley from the TV series SEAL Team, and Robert Munich. He's a great writer, director. And those guys approached me with another thing. So I've been working with them for about 2 or 3 months now on some stuff. I'm doing a celebrity golf tournament with them. Obviously I got onto your show, which is really crazy. And it's everything just kind of happened. Everything happened for a reason. And I know that now. And it was like, man, it's in the moment. I thought all the time for 25 years, dude, I thought like, I just belong at the bottom. Like there's just Eric Tansey was never meant to be stable or like good. My mental health has always been stable. My relationship with my wife has always been stable. My family relationships, everything like on paper was stable, but I've always just been working for nothing. Like I'm never going to make more than $45,000 a year type mentality, I live very small. I don't have a motorcycle. I have one, we've always had one car, we do a lot of traveling. My kids are phenomenal skateboarders.
That's what you're saying.
I mean, phenomenal, like insanely good.
Did they fall into that on their own?
Yes. Yeah. And look, dude, if my 12-year-old and my 10-year-old, they're like survivalists. They make snares. They eat their own squirrels. They cook.
That part's a little bit weird.
Dude, they're so fun. They are the most entertaining. They're going to be great. His Instagram channel, they make content on. It's hilarious. And they do like millions of views. They get they have multiple videos that have over 1 million views.
That's amazing.
On their Instagram. Yeah, they do. And they come up with that content generally on their own. They will scroll for ideas and things, and then they'll say like,
it's okay to find inspiration elsewhere.
Yeah, they're like, Dad, can we do this? Like, Dad, can we? I mean, they made a cooking video the other day that was so freaking. My wife and I were gone. They were babysitting, and they called and they were like, Dad, can we bake something? And it was incredible. And the video, and like, so one son was like doing all the video, the 10-year-old was doing the video, and the 12-year-old was, and it was really good. But they get free stuff all the time from like Liquid Death, Doritos. The sodas just sent a semi truck to our house with like loads of. They're incredible. They're fine. Like they get to travel. All their stuff's paid for. They get VIP. Okay. They're great. So on paper everything was been good, but now everything just seems to be kind of working out. But the funny thing I was telling Nick,
so you're an overnight 10-year success. Funny how that works.
Funny how that works. I said, dude, because I was very stressed out about your show.
Why?
Extremely stressed out. Well, because Nick's name is on the book, so Nick's going through a lot of stress. That whole Tim Kinney thing, there's people starting to filter into my comments about it. Yeah.
I haven't heard much.
It's it's another Navy SEAL book basically.
Kim Kennedy is a legendary SEAL.
So but it's like being on the Epstein list. Like I almost would rather be on the Epstein list. Like I think I could like articulate.
Let's not get
like I could be like, oh, I met that guy one time, and like that's why I'm on the list. Whereas like Tim Kennedy, I've never even met him, and I'm already getting shit in my DMs like, go fuck yourself, burn your book, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, you guys don't even know me.
Is it out?
No, it comes out next week.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
so you're deep into like the pre-sale. You're gonna have to do a bunch. Yeah.
But we were real nervous coming on this show, and then
why though?
Well, do you want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to be Tim Kennedy on you? I thought this was gonna be a gotcha moment. I thought you were gonna bring me in here and just like roast Nick or roast me for like not doing my due diligence or like I don't know. I just in my brain, the way my brain works, I was like, man, this guy's gonna gotcha me.
So you actually watch 0% of my content?
No, I watched the show that you did with Austin, and I don't consume content, and that sucks too.
If you couldn't tell in the first sentence of that show that I was completely joking, I mean,
but you. So like, if you were to joke like that with me, and I don't know Tim or anything,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have anything to say because I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know. Like,
Well,
and I'm not a Navy SEAL and I'm not a Green Beret. So it's like,
but I couldn't joke with you like that because it's different context.
yeah, exactly.
Those two.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I wouldn't do that.
But I didn't know you wouldn't do that. So like I thought,
fair.
so I like all night last night, I was like, man, like my war game was like, okay, when he brings up this, how am I going to answer that? If he says this, well, how am I going to, and I thought I was going to be playing defense the whole time. And so like, I was telling Nick, I was like, and I wasn't nervous that I would fuck up. I was nervous that, well, like I'm going to get through it. But I told Nick, I said, I didn't want to get this far to look like a fool for this guy. And if he starts joking with me, I'm not going to have any answers and I'm going to look like a complete idiot.
I would never put
And I went on this podcast called Angry Me Podcast. And the guy was a really good guy, but he caught me off guard and he brought up the Nick stuff, or he brought up the Nick Palmachano stuff. And I got really defensive.
And for clarity, what we're talking about, Nick is the co-author of Tim's book, which
is a book of fantasy, essentially.
I can't speak with any level of definity on that, but I can say there are other people out there doing research, and
I met him once. Yeah, so I met Tim Kennedy once. I got my picture with him. I was actually in a TV series with him, but I didn't actually meet him. Even though I had a scene with him, they didn't use him for the scene.
Oh, was it like a shot of you and like that?
Yeah. So I wasn't actually talking to Tim. But I mean, when I did meet him the one time, he was an extremely nice guy. And then during the Hurricane Helene thing, it was really bad for us. And it was a huge team effort. And Sentinel Foundation, and I think they're called Mighty Oak, which is like,
that's Robichaux's.
They, and then Save Our Allies.
Yep.
Like we all worked together in such a phenomenal capacity that like, and I was so proud of all the hard work that everybody did there that, that again, I was like, man, Tim Kennedy is a great, all these guys, Chad Robichaud, Tim Kennedy.
The data points you have are the data points you have.
That's all you have. Yeah.
That's all
and I thought like this was handled really well. We did better than the government did. It was so professional.
Move faster than the government.
I mean, they set up like a talk. It was perfect. They did. It's the greatest war story never told, to be honest with you. And it's funny because another one of my buddies is a Delta operator that I was in the course with. Haven't seen him in 20 years. We end up in this hangar together, and now we're reconnected and we're really close. He's in Israel right now. But he was. He told me at the end of this. He said, "Dude," because I think we were there for like 8 weeks total. In Western North Carolina. And he said, I don't know how I'm going to leave here. He's like, I've been to Fallujah, Ramadi, Syria, Iraq. And he's like, this is the one thing that I will take with me. He said, I've never prayed as much as I prayed than on this mission. He said, I've never cried more than I've ever cried on this mission. And it was just it was such a cool thing to see all those guys work together. And there was no hate. There was no, I know there's some drama now that I hear about, but in that moment, man, everybody worked perfectly and they did great. And I was really proud to be a part of it, frankly. So that's all I knew about Tim Kennedy. So when I came here, I told Nick, and I said, look, man, I'm at the point in my life where it's like, even if I go in here and I fuck this whole thing up, I don't care. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, all that matters to me is my wife's still going to love me. My 5 kids are still going to love me. And that's all I fucking care about. So it's like, you want to DM me guys about like, cause some of these guys got like Tim Kennedy derangement syndrome at this point. Like they are like, the fact that you would message me not knowing who I am.
Just remember, reading the DMs is optional.
Yeah, well, I figured that out, sure, but it's silly, but it's been a fun project, and Nick Palmachano is giving me an opportunity, and same with Ross Patterson and the Drinking Bros guys. I mean, all these guys have been so great to me, and I always say that I've done a lot in this industry now since working with the Drinking Bros and being on the road with them, especially for a year, and doing all the things, going to a different sporting event every weekend or nearly every weekend, and most of them with them. I've seen a lot of the industry. There's 2 people in the industry I would let babysit my children, and that's Nick Palmachano and Mike the Cop. Those are like the 2 people that I would trust with my family. So, if people want to hate on Nick Palmachano, I would only say it's because you don't know him. I mean, he has done more to help others, and he does it for no clout. He doesn't have a social media following. He's not an influencer. He works behind the camera, and all he cares about is, 1, your mental health, your physical health. And I've never met a guy more caring that's a celebrity-ish, but he doesn't act like, he just wants to help you be successful. Like, he doesn't want you to tag him in anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be like, hey, dude, like, how do I tag you in this? And he'll be like, oh, it's not about me, it's about you. And it's just,
it's a rare quality.
I think he's a selfless guy from what I know. So I've always appreciated him. I have a gift for you though, before you hang this up.
Is it a dildo?
Yes, a green one from the WNBA. Would you take it if it was from the court of a WNBA? Like, if it was one of those green dildos that was thrown onto the court, would you take it?
If it had a suction cup, it would go on the TV forever.
It would be badass, wouldn't it?
Don't you think, Michael?
Don't you think it's funny?
Or would you want it behind you on the flag so you could like reach back and like give it a swat?
Play with it.
Ding.
No, you'd have to go behind the head like it just thwap and just blah, blah,
I think the reason why they're so upset about the green dildo thing is that they've made, like, somebody made more money on dildos than the WNBA has made on merch.
Here's an interesting stat. More people have been arrested for throwing dildos than being on the Epstein list.
Well, that's, yeah. So this is...
what you got there?
This is a cop. And he's from Sheepdog Holsters.
Oh, dope.
And we wanted to customize you a holster because that's what he does. He's just a cop, cool guy cop.
Hand that thing over. Let me see this thing.
And so Berserker, which is a guy you worked with before, I think. You just had Operation. I'm blanking out now because I'm nervous. But Berserker makes skateboards. He's I don't know if he was a SEAL or some kind of special ops guy, but he makes these like decorative SEAL, Navy SEAL, and special operations skateboards that hang on walls, and he gives them out as gifts and everything.
That's awesome.
It's called Berserker, and they collaborated. These guys, I didn't know them. They saw a picture of my son skateboarding, and they found out that I was a cop through his social media. And they were like, dude, can we send your kid a custom deck and you a holster? And that's how I met him. And so anyway, this is a fully custom holster for you. And I think it's for a Glock 19 because I just assumed you would own a Glock 19.
I do own a Glock
in the
19.
waistband. And this is a
I
koozie.
prefer a 320 though.
Yeah, the SIG 320, which, hey, I said, I bet you there's more to that story. And now I've heard that they've made some arrests in that case.
So and I also heard that.
Because I've been around the 320 a lot. And
is it fair to assume perhaps that somebody might have shot somebody else and then blamed it on the gun?
Yes,
Maybe
I think so.
A backstory there?
I mean, I've seen 320s fall off of roofs of cop cars. Like, cops carry this thing all the time and tackle people on concrete things, and they
but
don't
I've
ever
also
go
seen
off.
videos of cops having them go off in lobbies. So,
well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm also not an expert on the internal mechanics, and guess what? There are people out there that can weigh in on that. I just like sometimes to make irresponsible 320 jokes.
I think they're great. I just, but
I don't claim to be an expert on the platform.
This is really cool. This is a holster that they sent you. I mean, not a holster, a koozie.
Oh, nice.
Like anything. So it's like it would even fit on one of these little guys, you know. So.
Ooh, interesting design there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, thank you guys for sending me this. I appreciate that.
And I guess I gave you some stickers too.
Yeah, if you don't own a Glock, do you even own guns?
Right. Yeah, that's what I have with me. It was a Glock 19, so I was like, yeah, give it. And so we didn't know what to do. Like,
how does that work for you? Does HR 218 cover you?
Not anymore.
No, it doesn't. I mean, in Montana's a constitutional.
Is this really shitting me? Like, I don't care. Like, I will carry all the time. Like, I carry everywhere. Is that bad?
I am not the. Well, here's what I can say.
I'll go to jail happily for it.
Well, and that's the thing. People's decision to either obey the law or not obey the law is their call. The cascading consequences that can come from that are in line with the decision that you make. What I'll say is, I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life. Make the choices you want. Just understand the potential consequences. Mm-hmm. I choose to be prepared.
I want to be prepared too. Yeah. I was like, I'm fit to be prepared. I'm the guy that I want to trust with my life when shit goes down. Like, I want there to be a guy like me when it goes down.
Carrying in California.
Yeah, I try to stay away from California anyway. But
I'm just saying.
No, I won't.
There are some states that will treat it like D.C. Probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea. No. Not going to say I've done it or not, but
I'm just saying.
It's pretty bad.
Use with caution.
Sometimes I even forget, but
that sucks because that retired.
Like I forget that I have it on because it was a big part of my life for so long.
Well,
especially
the retired
military
credentials would have covered you.
Yeah,
because HR 218 allows people to cover or carry an 50. Yeah,
forever.
Well, as long as they keep reestablishing that federal law, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Because I think they have to like every 4 or 8 years, but it seems like something they're
But in Montana, this was like a free state anyway. Like
constitutional carry state.
Yeah. Is it concealed too, or
yes? You do not need a concealed weapons permit here anymore.
Yeah.
If you get one, it'll shorten your time purchasing the weapon by 60 seconds. That's about the only benefit.
Well, there you go.
Because they'll do that in lieu of looking you up in the background check system. The CCW covers that.
Yeah. Yeah, but out of respect for you, I left it in the bag. I didn't carry it on my hip because I didn't know I didn't know what your rules were in your establishment, but I felt really safe. But I was like, I'm not going to not bring one, so I'll just hide it in my bag.
This studio. There's one in the fanny pack.
Great, that's perfect. Yeah,
it's like,
and I figured it was like even our jiu-jitsu gym. Like,
sometimes people get a little wild, and it's like,
oh, there you go. Yeah.
I think ahead.
Like when I was a cop and I would run into people that they would be like, I have a gun in the car. I'm like, awesome. Like I didn't even ask.
Yeah.
If you're going to tell me that you have a gun in the car, we're good. Yeah.
You got one in the chamber. What did you roll? You 16 plus 1?
Yeah. Like good for you, buddy. Like that's the way I like it. You know.
I was going to give you a ticket. Now we're going to have a talk.
Like now we're going to chat about these guns.
What else? So I mean, I think there's a lot of runway for you, obviously, in the spaces that you're doing. What else? What else do you want to do with your life, though? I mean, you've obviously lived quite a few of diverse experiences up to this point, but I mean, you got some time.
Yeah.
None of us know how much time we have left, obviously, but I think stats are probably in your favor. What else do you want to do? Like outside of this stuff you're doing now, what else interests you?
I do like stand-up comedy a lot. I really enjoy doing it. I've been doing it for a couple of years now, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But mainly having 5 kids, it's really all about my kids.
It's
and
a full-time job.
They're awesome, man. They're like I said, they're just so cool. I sit back and look at them, and I'm just like, dude, I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I mean they just do crazy stuff, and it's amazing what happens when you don't give kids screens. Like it's insane, like how creative they get, and it's cool. So I know that they have a professional. They're already skating at a professional level. Like they do events where they make them skate in the pro division, and they're skating with 25-year-olds, and they skated Jackalope 3 years in a row. We're VIPs to Jackalope. I don't know if you know who Bob Burnquist was. Or
I do,
from
actually,
the Tony Hawk game. Like my son, like in May was like on the vert ramp, and he was up there with Bob Burnquist, and Bob was talking to him and giving him some pointers on the vert ramp. Well, a vert ramp's huge, right? Yeah. And it's even huge for my 10-year-old and my 12-year-old and my 7-year-old to be up there. And so my son, they talk, and I think Beaver Fleming was up there too, and he's a big name right now. And he comes off the ramp, and I was like, yo, what did Bob say to you? And he was like, who's Bob? And I was like, Bob Burnquist? He's like, I don't know who that is.
The dude standing next to you talking.
Like, you don't know who Bob? I was like, I have failed you. I was like, I don't know if you know who Tim Pool is, but he's a big skateboarder and podcaster, Tim Pool, and he's got a facility that he invites pros to, and he invited my kids. And this other kid named Summer of Cam on Instagram, but he was like 11 or 10. But he invited my 3 kids and him to this pro thing that was private at his facility, and it was cool. He gave my kids money to like do these or my kids were like landing tricks, and he was like, if you land that, I'll give you $200. If you land that, I'll give you it was really fun, and they had a really great time. But they were interviewing because my son had a podcast too, and like Rob Machado, the pro surfer, was on it. Ryan Sheckler was on it, and then he took my kids to Woodward for a week in Pennsylvania, paid for it. It was cool. Or my son Duke, and so the podcast was really cool. And so the Boonies HQ, they did a video, like one of their first YouTube videos is actually with my children. And so he's interviewing my son Duke, and they're asking him about like Bam Margera. They're like, have you skated Bam's place yet? And my son goes, is that the fat sweaty guy? And so they just like lost it. And I think Bam somewhere like left a message, or somebody made a comment, one of his team. It's on their social media, it was a while ago, but it was like, fat sweaty guy, really?
We're all fading to oblivion at some point.
And I said, I failed as a father. You know that.
The icons are people that are memorable to us. They just mean absolutely nothing to our. Like I said, we're all twisting off out into orbit at some point, fading just into obscurity.
Yeah.
But
it's been fun, man. I'm so stoked that you gave me this opportunity.
Oh, I'm happy to have you, man. I'm glad you got to come.
Thanks for rolling with me today, too. That was
Why
really
would
cool.
I not roll with you? Like, that's insane. You got to.
Have you ever met celebrities?
I'm not a celebrity.
Like, they are pretty weird.
I am not a celebrity.
I mean, ish.
No.
Ish.
You know who is? Who's recognizable? He sits right over there.
Dang, dude. And he's super good at jiu-jitsu, too.
No, not a celebrity.
He used to work.
Dude, listen, can you like next time, if I ever get to roll with you again, like if you mount me, can you just like act like you care that you mounted me? Like, can you not act so nonchalant about like sitting on top of me? Like,
question
that's
is,
pretty.
why did you let him mount you?
Yeah. Pussy shit.
Why were you on top?
Like he looks so bored.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about. Why was Michael looking down instead of up?
Yeah.
He was just kind of like.
He's good. I met him as a white belt.
Really?
He was what, 30 pounds lighter, maybe?
40.
I don't believe that's actually true. That'd be a startling amount of weight you've gained.
Yeah, well, I did.
No.
You look great.
I'm 188 right now.
You weighed 148 when I met you?
No, I weighed 150. That's 38 pounds, so I just rounded up and said 40.
God, I'm so fat. I have to give one shout out to you, though. This guy's name is Tom Webb, and he's a SWAT operator. Well, just retired. Just got in a really bad shooting, too. Another one. I don't know
if he going to be okay with you using his name?
I don't. Yeah, he's fine. I don't know if that was his first shooting. Anyway, he just got in a shooting, and our coach gave him 2 stripes for it. the jiu-jitsu coach. But anyway, this guy's
slightly non sequitur, but I'm here for that.
I was pretty pumped. I was like, dude, that's fucking cool. But so he got in the shooting, and it was like, I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that he gets in the shooting, and like the next day at noon he was in class. Like still, but there's more to the story. So he's on the SWAT team, and he's the nerd of the SWAT team. He's got a lot of autism. He's got his children are like full blown autistic, and he's like in charge of all the equipment.
Yeah,
I mean he's an operator, but he buys all the equipment, tests all the equipment, he's got a very vast job on the SWAT team, and he's extremely intelligent when it comes to all this stuff. Gets crazy cancer, beats this crazy cancer. It comes back. His testosterone got knocked down to like 2. I think is what they said. Like they needed to get as close to 0 as they could for this treatment.
Really?
He was still coming back to jiu-jitsu and still giving it like pasty white, just like you could just like, and it sucked because you just like in that moment, it's like, you don't want to go so easy on him that he's like offended, but you like, obviously you're not going to like, but and he's a higher belt rank than I am. And it's like, but when he was in that moment, like.
No, you get him to choke the fuck
No,
out.
I should have.
Get it in when you can.
I couldn't do it. But he said, I didn't even know he knew you, but I told him I wasn't going to be in training and I was going on Cleared Hot. And he says it's his favorite show.
Sweet.
And he said that you are the reason that he started jiu-jitsu. And I think that's important because one, Tom's kind of a quiet, nerdy guy. And, but he has overcome so much in his life and his career as a cop, and he's a perfect cop. I don't know that he's ever had an IA investigation ever. He just retired, but phenomenal dude, phenomenal guy. And then gets in this shooting, and like right after to break it down, he's like, he breaks it down in a very like scientific, like it didn't even like affect him, and he was like, he's great. But so when he texted me, I was like, dude, there's no way I'm not gonna like shout out Tom Webb on your show. So really great
awesome.
Raleigh SWAT guy.
I'm glad he found it. I don't understand how police can do a job where they're required to touch people and they don't train grappling of some kind. That is insanity.
That is insanity. I will tell you from my perspective, being a cop.
Yeah.
I got into this was again wrong.
Yeah.
Right. We do have grappling. We do a lot of grappling in the police department. It's not jiu-jitsu level grappling, but we do a lot of control techniques. Yeah. And Raleigh has a phenomenal training program. We have a reality-based training team, which makes you do lots of training all year reality-based. I mean, we shoot from windows, we shoot from under cars, over cars. Good. We do sim rounds constantly. They've got so many ways to stress you out and make you shoot, and they are so scientific about it. They have videos and they break it down. A lot of these guys are ex-military, ex-Green Berets, MARSOC, whatnots, and they're so great about working with all of the officers. The guy that's running it now, Eric Scott, he's a brown belt. He's a brown belt, and he is like writing some doctrine on grappling. But he works like they'll pull people off the street, out of their cop cars, and say like, "Hey, come down to the station. We just watched one of your videos. This control technique would have worked better in this scenario. Like, let's go ahead and run that scenario back with you, and like, let's replay it." They do a phenomenal job, but obviously you need more. Your time as a cop is stretched so thin. You're always shooting on the range, believe it or not. If you're a big city cop, not New York, that doesn't count, but like, most big city cops, you're going to the range a lot. You have court a lot. You have off duty. I mean, it's only 14 days a week that you're working on paper. That's not reality. The reality is you're constantly going. And you never sleep because you work 12 hours all night, and then you got to be at court at 8 a.m. You're falling asleep in court, and then you got to be right back on shift. It's gnarly. But I was putting my hands on somebody every single night. I put my hands on somebody. So I felt like, why do I need jiu-jitsu? I do this every day, and I'm good at it. I mean, I'm not good at it because I got my shit blasted so many times. And I think now I'm like,
unless you and I
would have fucking known jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't have got my fucking face pushed in.
Well, you never know. It's like,
you don't know what you don't know.
I am an absolute nobody, but I would kind of be a handful for a cop.
Fuck every cop.
I would be a handful.
I tell her on my show, Failure to Stop, on my podcast, I tell cops, like, now I'm like that guy, like, have you heard about my Lord and Savior, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? For cops, because it's like, you have to. You have to train. You have to, and my my brother-in-law,
depending on the state, could be the same person.
But he's like, I'm gonna do Muay Thai, or he's a cop in Orlando.
That's actually legit though too, because strike.
I do Muay Thai.
I was gonna say jiu-jitsu. I say this every time. It's not a complete self-defense martial art. You have to be able to get through striking ranges or use striking, because if you get knocked out on the ground and you have a black belt, it's like, cool, black belt, dude.
Yeah.
But also, if you're a great striker and somebody is able to get their hands around you and you are just completely screwed, it's like, cool striking.
Yeah. I would say, like, I told him that I would do jiu-jitsu. I do Muay Thai too.
Yeah.
I train Muay Thai at Gracie Raleigh.
Fantastic, yeah.
And jiu-jitsu at Gracie Raleigh under Brandon Garner. And I told him, I was like, look, from my point of view, I would do jiu-jitsu and not Muay Thai, because you're going to put your hands on somebody every single day.
Yeah.
You're not going to punch somebody in the face every fucking day.
And you're honestly, when you guys are touching them, you're already really, really close to grappling distance, if not in it.
It's perfect. Yeah. I mean, like every one of my fights as a cop, and then they're in this book, and like there's some like really bad ones, but like every one of them went to the ground. Every one of them. And I get my shit kicked in on the ground quite a few times in that book.
That's what I'm talking about. Learn the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, when your head's like bouncing off the concrete, like I will say, like, I remember like one time, like I was the guy that broke my leg. Like when I was on the ground, I kept seeing like a flash of white, and I was like, why is everything flashing white? And he was stomping on my head. My head was hitting the concrete, but like I didn't feel it.
It was not your flashlight,
but I was like, sir. Into the white concrete. So yeah, but I would say that you got it. If you're a cop, man, and you're not training jiu-jitsu, you're going to be a better shooter from jiu-jitsu. You're going to be a better husband, frankly.
You can solve problems better.
So much better. You're going to be less stressed.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how cops, I do know because I was there.
Yeah.
And I know your mentality. It's like, oh, I don't fucking need that. I'm not going to, because CrossFit kind of like ruined that for cops. Like, a lot of, like, especially our department built CrossFit gyms in every precinct and had coaches.
It's a legit modality to train in, but you're not going to burpee your way out of a triangle, or you're not going to burpee your way out of somebody being on top of you who knows how to grapple. If they don't want you to get up, you're not getting up.
You're done.
Yeah.
And I so when I got into my jiu-jitsu journey, it was really funny because that same guy, Twitty, he was a CrossFit champion, state, I guess
those
state
people
champ.
are a nightmare if they learn jiu-jitsu, because the engine behind it.
He never died. Never. And now he's like on PEDs and all the other shit.
That's what I'm talking
Probably
about.
He's so jacked, dude. He's fucking.
It's creatine animal. And mostly chicken breast.
But he's so quiet and like out of all the guys that are on testosterone and stuff, like he is the only one I've ever met that's like extremely like legit humble, like a very soft, gentle, so beautiful father.
Probably on the correct
husband,
dosage.
Does great, dude. He's such a solid guy. He's not running around like.
That's the difference between a therapeutic dosage and a performance enhancing dosage.
But he is he is a monster. Yeah. And so he's been trying to get me to do jiu-jitsu forever, and I just kind of like gave up on life. Not like on life, but like I'm not a competitive person, and I was like, I doing CrossFit with him wasn't very fun because it was like just a murder session every time we did it together. So I enjoyed training with other people that weren't going to murder me. But he'd been trying, dude. Like, you got to do jiu-jitsu. You got to do jiu-jitsu. You got to do. I'm like, I'm not doing that shit, dude. And I was getting kind of fat, running the distillery and everything. And he was like, hey, dude, you're a disabled veteran, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, there's this thing called We Defy Foundation.
Yep, I'm familiar with it.
And he's like, I want to put you in for a scholarship. And if I put you in for it and you get it, would you train with me? And I was like, I mean, if it's free, I'll fucking try it. And so he puts me in for it. I end up getting the scholarship, and I, again, wasn't really paying that much attention. I get this package in the mail with this gi. I call him. I'm like, dude, what are these fucking pajamas? I'm not wearing these fucking, like, I'm not wearing this shit, dude. He's like, you're going to fucking wear it. I was
You're
like, I'm
going
not
to wear
wearing
the cult clothing to the
He's
cult
like-
place.
He's like, you're going to wear it, and you're going to drink the juice, which is, your electrolytes stuff. So anyway, like, I was like, man, this sucks. Like, and I guess We Defy, you have to train at least 2 days a week to maintain this.
Yeah,
so I was
criteria.
like, so I was like being that anti-authoritarian. I was like, I'm going to do it, but I'm only going to do 2 days. Only going to do 2 days.
Until you fall in love with it.
No. Yeah. And then I got there and I thought it was going to be a lot better than I was. I was like, dude, I put my hands on people all the time.
That first day is rough.
Brother.
Here's the thing too.
But I loved it.
It's jiu-jitsu, people say it's exploding, but that's because there's like 8 people who love it and pay attention to it. So when there's 9 people, they're like, yes, we grew by 10%, which is slightly tongue-in-cheek. I've talked with Pete from Origin. I've asked him, because they sell gis. I'm like, what do you think? How many total people? He's like, I don't know, a couple million. So criminals can learn this stuff too. Can you imagine being on the wrong side of that?
So yeah, we've arrested a UFC fighter before,
That
and
is
multiple times.
That
but
needs
he
to
was
be a taser ride,
dude. He would say, like, he would legit tell you, Like, cause he was mentally like just off his rocker, and the stuff he wasn't. I mean, the domestic violence stuff was kind of serious, but I mean, he could kill that bitch if he wanted to, but he didn't. You know, so but every time we were doing, I mean, he would like articulate it to you. He'd be like, I would fuck you up this way, but I'm gonna let you take me. But you just know that I will fuck you up if I want to. And you're like, yeah, I know.
You throw the cuffs at the guy at that point and be like, hey, you figure out how to get these on behind your back.
I have done that. I have 100% done. I have looked at dude in the eye and I go, dude, you are big as fuck. You can either cuff yourself or I will fucking tase you. And if that doesn't work, I will shoot you. And the guy would be like, and I'd hand him those handcuffs and I'd have my taser right out.
Yeah.
And they would cuff themselves. I have done it a few times. I ran from a guy. This guy chased me, big ass guy, and we were running around this car, and he was chasing me around the car, and he came around the car, and I sprayed him, like I tricked him, I juked him, and I sprayed him, and I was like, I'm gonna throw this canister, and I'm gonna pull my gun out, because if he gets a hold of me, like he's going to kill me. And he was jacked up on all the drugs too. And as soon as I sprayed him, he fell to his knees and he was like, why? And I was like, gotcha. You know? And then of course I'm a big man after that. I'm like, yeah. Bitch, you know, take that, you know.
That's what worries me is that there are enough people training. I don't want cops to end up on the wrong side.
But I feel like if you're training jiu-jitsu, you're probably in a better headspace and you're probably not committing crimes.
You probably are. But what I'll say, I'll speak super broadly. I have now encountered a couple people that have been ejected from jiu-jitsu gyms because they were learning a skill that weaponized a predator and not somebody who would utilize it for what I think are altruistic purposes.
Yeah, I've dropped into a lot of gyms around the country. I try to drop in everywhere I go, which, by the way, is, I was telling him, like, it's very hard to drop into a gym. Because you go in there, nobody knows you. Yeah. I'm a white belt, which is kind of good because I don't have any expectation. So I don't have to like defend a blue belt or any of that bullshit. But like you're walking in there, nobody knows who you are. You have to learn the stretches. You have to learn the etiquette. You're meeting new people to roll with.
No
you don't have a buddy. It was perfect. You know? But I've been to some weird ones, man. But like I have been to, like I went to this one in particular and I was like, that motherfucker is going to rape one of these chicks. Like every girl that was like there, he was like over there just staring, and I was like, how? I've never even been here, and they have fucking dudes creeping me out. Like, how does nobody see this guy being creepy as fuck?
You have a more tuned radar to looking for that. So, and again, I got to speak about it super broadly. There was somebody that I rolled with relatively often, and I always knew that there was something weird. You could feel it. Yeah. And, eventually booted for reasons that would make you want to get a wood chipper out.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine. I mean, that's...
But let's say somebody does that and they get to like purple belt or brown belt level, you have completely weaponized. They will be able to control.
But I mean, don't you think it would be good if like, do you think it would, because now you got me questioning my philosophy. But so it was like, what I wanted to do was get pretty successful in life and then use my money to start a BJJ scholarship for people in the hood.
I think it could change. Well, here's the thing. I think it could. I don't, if you associate the hood with people who, for whatever reason, they have to be on a bad path. If you're that type of person, then it may not work. But I don't believe that people, just because they grow up in the hood, have to be on a bad path. I think it could change the trajectory of their life.
Yeah.
I'm talking about broken people who find it, who are legit predators. They exist in the hood, but they exist in gated communities too.
Yeah.
The people that I'm talking about specifically, upper middle class for sure.
Yeah.
The ones that I've had direct experience with.
And when you start putting like testosterone on those guys and PEDs on them, like it gets them like hornier and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like
it can. There's a difference again.
I would say I know more people that have taken tests, cheated on their wives, and fucked up their whole lives.
Yeah.
Than I know dudes that are still on the straight and narrow.
It depends on are you actually managing it from a therapeutic dose? Are you trying? I mean, will it make you feel different? For sure. But does taking more of it mean it's going to make you feel different, even better and better and better? Like testosterone doesn't make you do anything crazy.
No. In
my experience. But I've also never been on a massive dose. I've been on TRT for a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm not anti. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti, but like I know.
Like I'm not more aggressive. I'm not going to cheat on my wife. It doesn't change my behavior. It hasn't changed my outlook on anything other than like, wow, I actually do.
Have you noticed other guys that get on it and immediately start making bad decisions?
Sure. But then you talk to them like, what dose are you on? They're like, oh, I'm taking an entire vial this week. I'm like, dude, that's not. Again, TRT is testosterone replacement therapy. If your test is up at like 1,800 to 2,000, you're just on juice, dude. No. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I don't care how people choose to live their life, as long as they're not victimizing other people largely. If you want to be on that dose, accept the consequences.
Right.
And don't blame it on the juice because you chose to get to that level. Also, work with a doctor. Get your blood drawn. Check all your other hormones as well. If you want to have a positive impact on your life and work with a therapist or a doctor and manage the shit and not have to worry about that, just be on a therapeutic dose. My God. You know what I mean? It's like, it's totally possible.
That is scary, though, to think that, like, you know, the weaponization of jiu-jitsu. That's why you have to train. Like, you got to be better than them.
Do guns kill people or do people kill people with guns? You know what I mean? It's just a tool. You could save lives with a gun, or you can take somebody who is broken that wants to do damage to others, and it multiplies their ability to do that. When
you're a cop and you, like, I feel like, I was always good at making good decisions. I do case breakdowns, and I have for years now. That's what I do. Podcasting every week, I break down these cases, and I think I do a pretty good objective job of it because I've been in a lot of the scenarios that they've been in, and so I'm able to look at it and say, like, this is what he was thinking. Probably not the best decision he made, but this is why he made it. You know, it's like when a quarterback practices the same thing over and over again for weeks and weeks and weeks, and he draws back and he still throws an interception. Like, there's a reason why he didn't just say, like, oh, fuck it, today I'm throwing an interception. Like, there was a buildup of mistakes that were made along the way that he inevitably has to own. Yeah. But, like, there's a reason why. I'm not defending his actions. I'm just giving you the why it led up to where it has. And this is where we dropped the ball. And so, you know, for me, though, because of my experience being in special operations and being in the amount of stress that I was always under, I do very well when shit's not going good. I can turn things off.
It's a practice,
but not a lot of cops do.
Skill.
A lot of cops can't do that, and they get into repetitive repetition really quickly, and a lot of things go south. And I think one of the things that jiu-jitsu does for you is it's going to change all of that. You're not going to, because when you know and when you're confident, like, I'm a confident shooter. Like, I know if a bad guy is going to look at me through that window approaching this house, and he doesn't hit me on that first round, like, I'm good, and I'm staring at the window. So if he comes out there, like, I'm not scared to walk up on that house because I know where he's going to shoot me from, probably, and I'm probably going to get him first. So I don't mind walking up on a house in the middle of the night. It's, you know, but for some people, they're like really slow, and they're, you know, they're very hyper paranoid because they're not super confident in their ability to win that fight.
They have less reps and less experience.
So when you're not afraid to put your hands on somebody, and I guess back then I wasn't afraid to get my ass whooped. Like, it's just like I was perfectly fine getting hit in the face. So, like, for me, I'm like, oh, fuck it. Like, Leroy Jenkins. That's what they call me in the book, the whole book, Leroy Jenkins. If you know jiu-jitsu and you have that confidence that when I put my hand on you, you're going to jail. Yeah. Like, there's nothing you can do. Once I grab your wrist, there's nothing you can do to not go to jail. You're going to be a much better cop, because what we're seeing right now is these cops get in front of a person. The cop doesn't know how to fight. He thinks he knows how to fight. He doesn't know how to fight. And then he finds out in that moment when the guy says, I'm not putting my hands behind her back, they go, sir, put your hands behind your back. I'm not putting my hands behind. Sir, put your hands behind your back. Sir, put your hands behind. Sir, I'm not going to tell you again. And it's just like, because he doesn't have the confidence that if he puts his hand on him, he'll win. And I think now, if I was a cop, even at a 4-stripe white belt, is what I tell the cops. Like, if I could go back to the street,
people,
I would be like, bro, like, I would talk to you like this. I'd be like, bro, don't even, like, if you're going to jail, like, you can run, that's fine. Maybe you're going to get away, but, like, you're not going to stand here and fight me. I'm telling you right now, it's just not going to work out for you. And then I would touch them, and then I would take them to jail, and that's the way it would go.
Odd sentence. Then I would touch them.
And I would murder them. No, I'm just kidding.
Where can people find your book?
Everywhere.
By the time
Barnes
the
and
episode
Noble
comes out, the book will be live.
Oh, I just got a hamstring cramp.
Well, you need to drink Element. Go to drinkelement.com/clearedhot. It's not a big deal.
Good water.
Glover. It's Glover's. I don't even think he sells it anymore. I'm convinced he fills it up with his garden hose in his backyard.
It's just like, here you go. No, it's everywhere. I mean, Barnes and Noble, Hudson's, Books A Million, Amazon's.
Anywhere you can
find
books.
Anywhere you can find books, I guess. It's everywhere. Yeah.
And then your socials. Where can people find you to send you mean DMs?
Just Instagram, Eric Tansey Official, which is kind of a joke. It's Eric Tansey Official because I was being a smart ass when I made it. But it's funny how many people think it's real, that, like, I think I'm official. But if you look at my content, it's very silly. It's very stupid.
I get it. I reposted your picture from yesterday.
You know, that was a good picture, actually, though.
You know what's funny is I hit the repost button, and then I had to Google, where do pictures show up when you repost them?
What is the repost thing?
It's
just popped up. I just got a brand new phone, and it just popped up, and I don't know the ins and outs.
So there's on the top of your grid, it'll be like the pictures, and then there's a reels. Now there's another one for repost, because I hit the repost and I assumed it would show up when I could see it in my feed.
In your feed, yeah.
And it did, and I was like, where did I just push this?
That's smart, because like I hate when people get a picture with me or do something with me, like on a comedy show, and then they want me to collaborate on it. And I'm like, I don't really want this comedy show to pop up on my feed. And when you hit the collab button, it pops up on your
Well, you become
feed.
a co-owner of it, essentially.
Right. And I don't want to do that, but a repost is great. Like, I would rather repost something that doesn't go on my grid.
Listen, I got a data point of 1 based off of your post, so I don't know. Maybe it's awesome, maybe it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I just used it for the first time on Mandatory Fun Day. We did a video, which is super funny, like how many people hate that. I mean, everybody loves it. Like, there's 400 something comments already, and they're like, "Oh, that's the funniest thing," because it's very dark. It's very dark humor. But bro, I got this message last night. This DM, it's from a doctor. It's like some lady, and it's like super long. And they're like, "I actually live near that town, and there was a suicide. That this town is grieving, and blah blah blah. And I also think that you need help, and you need some counseling."
Suicide in Kalispell.
I believe it. I didn't respond because I was like, man, but it is crazy. Like when you do, I mean, but I've been doing comedy for a while, so I get it. Like people are going to just not. Yeah. But it was funny that she was like, "Do you want to talk? Do you need to talk?" Because I made a joke about putting a gun in my mouth.
Dark gallows humor comedy, so I don't have to talk to a professional. This is how I offload my stress.
It's like the reason why I'm not putting my gun in my mouth is because I'm making this ridiculously dark reel. But it was a fun one, so I used the repost for that one. But
yeah. It shows up in your repost feed for those of you. Again, data point of 1. Take that sucker with a grain. Let's get out of here. I think we've been out for close to 3 hours.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's fine. It was fantastic. Yeah. Off to Origin Camp next. Thank you for the sheepdog holster, guys. I do have a 19, and I will.
They wanted to send that to you, and
that's awesome.
Asked if they mailed it to me, if I would give it to you, and I said I would. And we designed it ourselves. We didn't know what you would be into, and I don't know where he got that design, but he made 3 and made me pick one. Okay. I picked that one.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, obviously because I'm so anti-authoritarian.
Totally.
Yeah.